then you have this nice little triangle to work with. But before we get right into things, spawning over in the bottom right-hand side, representing Basilisk, it is Reynor.
And in the top left-hand side, our red Terran player is Spirit, and we are about to 13 pool. I did not have that on my list of things about to happen.
No, that's pretty wild, actually. I dare say, like, Spirit, for most people, he's probably this guy that, you know, he plays the macro game, plays the late game, but he's a man of extremes. Like, I will never forget that series he played against Showtime, where he was the obvious underdog, and it was just like, you know what? I'm going to cheese the absolute living crap out of him. And nobody anticipated it from him, like absolutely nobody. So I think going for a build like this to set the tempo of the series, it's cool. Because then you let your opponent know that you're the one that's wild. You're the ragey one, you know? Like, because Reynor is a guy that can absolutely do anything.
Yeah. I wonder if the idea here is meant to be it's just an early enough pool that if this was CC first, you can actually punish it, whereas usually like a 16 pool, the Lings aren't in time to do anything about the command center. Obviously, this is not a command center first, which, to be fair, I think Spirit is very well known for doing frequently. So, yeah, I think a lot of mind games and a lot of kind of advanced thinking going into this, but Spirit's going to get out of it, picking the right time to not do his usual.
Okay, so he's going for an SCV Scout at a pretty damn good timing. He's getting the Reaper. There's no, like, CC first either, kind of repopularized, if you will. This SCV, though, going a different route to these Zerglings. That's a little bit unfortunate, because seeing 6 Lings and then seeing 2 extra. He might see the 2 extra at the back here, which will... In fact, did he actually see that? Ooh, I kind of feel like he should have.
Yeah, maybe he is. I don't think so, though, because the Reaper's just hiding off to the side, and we are going to at least get a delay here. The first SCV on the low ground is going to drop very quickly. The 2 Lings in the main will keep the Reaper busy, and these Lings on the low ground with 2 more showing up actually maybe do still have a good shot of canceling this command center. It's going to get, I mean, it is going to get cancelled, right? So that is Reynor benefiting from this. The Lings going to get hit by the grenade, but yeah, you have to cancel. SCV putting some extra HP on it just wasn't fast enough as our Reaper and our Marine continue to kite away.
I think so obviously quite a nice start for Reynor. I think he hoped for that kind of thing. I was going to say, nice handling by Spirit not to lose a single SCV against this, because even though it might look terrible for him, but then the last Ling hit there just got an SCV kill. So nicely handled by both of them, actually. But yeah, that makes me think that Reynor kind of knew what opening Spirit was going to go for straight away. That being said, it was a very, very normal opening to go for by him. Nothing wild. But it will just get them both into a regular game, except Reynor prepped this happening, so that can often make you feel just a little bit better about things.
Yeah, he knew this was going to be the case. He knew he would be taking a bit of an eco hit to set up early, whereas Spirit was a bit more, you know, now freestyle, trying to figure this out. We do see double CC going down, so we're going to go straight to 3 command centers. That part should not be too surprising, because, well... It's TVZ and it's Spirit. He wants to play the macro game and not be surprised if the majority of these games saw 3 early command centers.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, he's good with his bio. I don't often see him play mech in this matchup. Like, he's definitely one of those guys that likes his bio, likes getting into that defensive setup with the Liberators and tanks. The Liberators absolutely make the tanks much harder to kill in these bust-type situations. But yeah, Reynor, like, when it comes to Gressvan, and any sort of large map especially, Reynor is the kind of Zerg that will consume the map. Like, he takes Zerg to the next level of how greedy you can be with it, while also being exceptionally safe. Like, he really just utilizes speed and his ability to just know where he's at in a game, but also just to handle most of the tricky situations as flawlessly as possible. He's a really hard Zerg to go up against.
He really is. He's just so fast and in such a mechanically focused matchup. The speed really goes a long way. It helps you with creep spread, counterattacks, dealing with drops and everything. So I do wonder what Spirit's overall plan is. Like, you know, how aggressive do we get? Is there anything particular about his timings? One thing Spirit has done that impressed me recently was actually play some very aggressive 3-base things. That helped him see success against players like Sola, for example, from Korea. So that kind of thing might be on the agenda too, just kind of getting in there so it's not like a full-on, fully-fledged macro game, but it's not also relying on super early cheese. You're just looking for the one big push mid-game and keep that push going basically forever.
Yeah, certainly. I do think those Roach kind of plays are really damn good. Just kind of busting down your opponent before they can actually set up and get going. And Reynor, he's respecting. He hasn't been able to get like a super good scout. I say that as an Overlord is flying into the main base, but he doesn't quite know what he's up against. So he's just kind of ticking all the boxes, getting a Spore Crawler here. Not getting it everywhere though. Like he's really kind of getting away with how greedy he can be. Now he's getting some extra spores. He's like, you know what? What did that starport do before it flew over here? And boom, a Liberator shows up, and that's already quite a nice bit of damage here from Spirit. This is not what Reynor set out to achieve, getting a lost might in time and also a lost few drones, but this is Spirit just kind of kicking back a little bit.
Yeah, Reynor going to relocate some spores now to help him, keep on defending this lip, although actually it goes a bit further around than Reynor was expecting, so Spirit, good choice of movement, is going to get at least one more drone, is going to cause more lost mining time. This is adding up. The Hellions not finding any success, Reynor defending that part well, but this Liberator has been way more annoying than I would have guessed it would have been, so credit to Spirit, because he's just playing very well with that and doing a lot with it so far.
Yeah, that Liberator, like, if your Liberator can get like 3 drone kills and some lost mining, you're usually pretty happy with it as a Terran, even though it costs a bit more than that. But the fact that I got 6 and also lost mining, and he saw all the Spore Crawlers already made, that's a massive deficit, because that's not only those 6 kills, that's the 3 drones that made those spores as well. That Liberator that's already done damage.
This is kind of a big thing as well, right, by the way, because he's kind of been cutting some SCVs. He didn't start his 1-1 upgrades. Now, I'm not sure how much of a mistake that is, but he did add the armory in. So he's going to go for a pretty aggressive push onto the map right now. And if Reynor isn't ready for this, this could catch him a bit off guard, because it's such a weird timing to do this at. Like, we are still building SCVs from Spirit, so it's not completely committed, but like, not starting 1-1, I mean, at this point, that feels like a mistake. He's got so much money in the bank. I am hella confused, actually. This is such a weird setup.
It's a really weird setup, Water. You're totally right that he missed out those upgrades, but Liberator gets a few extra kills here, and he is hitting right as the Banelings are finishing, so nice timing there by both of them, just getting away. But sniping one of those Banelings, only 1 Baneling remaining, and that's a lot of Hellbats. That is a crazy play. Look at that 3 Hellbats on the low ground as well. You can't take out that tank. This is a lovely timing attack from Spirit.
It's going well. The Queens are holding each other up for the moment. Transfusion's buying time, and the medevac's almost out of energy. It looks as though it's go time. We're going to try and bust that low ground position. It's going to be expensive, as you mentioned, with those Hellbats. Extra Marine showing up, so the siege tank might get to live, and Reynor's going to lose everything. Spirit comes out firing. Wow, what a weird situation. No upgrades or anything, and boom, he just makes it work. That push was definitely a bit more committed than Reynor was ready for, and Spirit uses that to his advantage to take a 1-0 lead.
You know, I do believe it was maybe not planned to miss out on those upgrades, because I think, like, you know, you want to get those little edges in TVZ. Like, you're getting +1/+1 against 0-0, even though it's for a little window, it helps a lot. But I've got to say, you could really tell that this was all planned. The amount of Hellions that he had, along with that single tank, and getting the hug down, because that armory being as early as it was, it wasn't the kind of armory that it's like, oh yeah, this is going to time up for my 2-2. It was an armory for Hellbats, for just that. And the timing on the low ground, the little Hellbat hug as well, that was absolutely beautiful. And if Reynor actually managed to save maybe 3 Banelings on that morph, just 2 or 3 extra, we might have been looking at that game still going. But beautiful timing by Spirit. And to say how that game started off with the whole 13 pool shenanigans, what a way to turn that around.
Yeah, he did not mess around. Like, I mean, the 13 pool was so interesting as well. Interesting start, definitely did a lot more than I kind of imagined when it was just the Reaper expand, getting the full on cancel. But then, yeah, nothing else. I mean, the Liberator was nice, and that definitely slowed Reynor down. That attack really just had that extra bit of punch, and yeah, Spirit off to a 1-0 lead. Does have to play on Altitude as map 2, though, so that is going to be the map where things get a little bit better for the Zerg. This one should be pretty difficult for Spirit to get a win on. If Spirit does find a win here on Altitude, then Reynor really would be in some trouble. It's a long way to go, though, in this best of 5, and Reynor is one of the very best at, you know, if you lose the first game or so, he is so good at figuring out the changes to be made and getting back into a series.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, a lot of these young players, when they lose, you might see them visibly look a bit shaken, but it doesn't seem to affect their play. Like, I think there's a few players like that, such as, I'm going to say a name, like Neeb. Whenever I saw him muttering to himself, or Cyril, and I'm like, oh no, even Clem, like, don't tilt, guys, don't tilt. Cyril and Clem especially, those aren't guys that tilt. Neither is Reynor. And speaking of, spawning over in the top right here, as our blue Zerg, it is Reynor.
Down 1. making this a kind of interesting setup for our quarterfinals today. In the bottom left, we've been talking about how good he's been getting for a long time, but recently he's really taken it to another level. A win here would really cement that idea. It is Spirit in the bottom left, who is... I want to say he's definitely never been top 4 Europe in these regionals, because that would have been something we remember about him. So this is his chance to really do better than he's ever done before. I wonder if he's had a top 8. I'm going to do some investigating.
Has he not had a top 4?
No.
I feel...
Not in Europe.
Like
There's no way.
All right. Because I feel that he's definitely got to a level that's like, if you said he got top 4, you know, players have done it in the past. That like Marine Lord, for example, it felt a bit. I don't want to say fluky because he absolutely deserved it when he got it, but I feel that Spirit has absolutely ascended to that kind of level. You know, where it's like if he did have a top 4, the fact that he's able to take down the Gatekeeper these days, then you know, top 4's open for you because for a long time. Any one of these players, especially in this format as well, like this format opens up a lot. Because if you don't run into a Serral, you don't run into a Reynor. I mean, he's running into a Reynor now. In fact, I was going to say, or a Max Pax or a Clem. It's actually really hard to make top 4 in this region, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's had one top 8 out of all of our regionals, and in WCS challenges and stuff before then, like way back when, I don't think he ever had top 8 either, so he's had one top 8. So this is tied already with his best ever performance. Win this series and it's your best ever. And that's impressive, and back then he basically took down, he started in the lower bracket, and he took down Geralt and Showtime to make it into top 8, which obviously is a pretty decent performance. But yeah, already taking down Hero Marine feels a step up on that, and if you could take down Reynor to make top 4, it really would just be the examples that we've been kind of talking about so much, where we've been saying, hey look, this guy's getting so much better, he's had great games recently, he can put up a fight, he can be tricky, he's not just like a one-trick pony anymore as well. So yeah, go Spirit, I guess, shows the upset.
No, absolutely. Like if the amount that he's come on is, he goes from being that Terran in Europe that isn't as good as Clem and Hero Marine, that he's good, you know, but he was kind of unreliable at the same time. Now I feel that he's really worked on that reliable bit of his game, and it's like everything's gone up. The reliability, he can beat pretty much anyone that he's better than, whereas before he used to take unreasonable risks against everyone, and across the board, he's just showcasing a much better, more solid overall performance. So I don't know what happened to him, but it was obvious. But if it was something you could sell and dish out, everybody would be gobbling up whatever it was, you know, because it's done him a world of wonders. This game, he did opt for a CC first. He scouted as well, went for a Reaper. So a very, very reasonable build, and now he's going for a very quick third CC behind it. So a nice, greedy play from him.
Yeah, super greedy on a map where you probably do need every single edge you can get against a Zerg. It's just large, there's bases galore. You know, as a Zerg, you have eternity to deal with attacks of the Terran before they get across, and a long time, or a lot of ways to set up counterattacks too, and a lot of open space, great for surroundings. Just in general, this map really does play into Zerg's favor, but that doesn't mean it's just going to be naturally Reynor's game. It might be a bit more of an uphill battle for Spirit, but you know, you hit a good time, you hit a good strong 3-base push that has a good strong start, and you can still reinforce, you can still rally over, and you can still win games. So I love the extra, like, just a bit of additional greed from Spirit, because that gives him the best possible chance heading into this mid-game to really do something that's necessary, which is to slow Reynor down some way, somehow.
Yeah, and if I'm super honest about the weird maps that, you know, are very obviously worse for your race, like, I remember back when I used to compete in StarCraft 2, very often, those would tend to become my better maps versus people than what would be, like, regular Terran maps, because the normal Terran maps, very often when I'm practicing, I wouldn't get the practice required. Whereas on these maps that it's like, okay, this is a good Zerg map, it's not a good Terran map, I'd have way more practice than every Zerg that I play against at it, and it could kind of start to tilt in my favor a little bit. I'd have these little cheeky timings, these extra corners cut depending on the size of the map and stuff, and it just made it more a playground that I was more used to. So we'll get to see. Like, it's definitely not a foregone conclusion. We've seen some crazy things happen on altitude, like especially in PvZ, where, you know, I've seen players like Hero just pop out with something rather ridiculous. But yeah, not a foregone conclusion by any means.
Not at all. Gonna see the 1-1 upgrades coming in from Spirit here on those engineering bays. Iraq's gonna lift off, move away. Stimpak's about to finish. And just waiting again on our 1-1 upgrades as our Hellions get pushed back to the center. Goes for his tank. There, Baneling Nest from Reynor. Very standard from Reynor, you know, very safe and kind of considerate as to what could happen. He's not going to risk super early double Evo Chambers. He's going to prioritize Bane speed. And this time, I do not imagine this Libero is going to get anywhere near as much done, because I think Reynor, he's always so good at clearing up the mistakes from the last game, and letting the Lib do so much last time was a mistake. And yeah, just so unlikely that this one gets as much done as last time. Great that Spirit keeps it alive, though, because that is now still an option for him further down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. If that died right there and then, you'd be kicking yourself if you're Spirit, because you're like, damn, why did I do that? And it's like, well, went really good the first game, so why not? But he has got his +1/+1 approach in here. Reynor, does he have 2 Evos? He does have a second Evo available, so can start off his +1 melee anytime soon, but did Prio getting that speed out, which I think is a good call by him. And as Zerg plays, it's good to get that carapace over the melee upgrade initially, just because often it's your Banelings dealing the damage, not necessarily the Lings, but keeping them alive, keeping the Lings alive for a little bit longer can really pay off in dividends. And also, can't forget that the Queens benefit from the armor as well. But Spirit's about to move out, and Reynor, you can see that he's in a position to pounce. So this game is going to start to get gnarly very quickly. Oi.
Well,
oh, nice pickup.
Immediate movement from Spirit there, lives that depot. He did have the pre-warning depot in the front, so that's really important. Reynor cleans that out now. There's a bunker on this base as well, so that's fine. These Lings not really in position to help out. We do need medevacs with this bigger push. The Spirit will start to work his way through some creep spread initially. Baneland speed not quite done yet. I mean, what a timing. Just before Bane speed, just before 1-1. Unfortunately, I think all we're really going to get is some creep. Now we're going to reposition, but of course, with that, we are going to see some of these upgrades finishing up on the side of Reynor. Still with those tanks and just lack of creep into this top left base.
And is he doing the Hellbat Hug again, Wardy? Oh, he's getting a Queen kill or 2 over here, so that's really nice for him. The upgrades have finished, as you talked about. Not yet for Reynor. And Reynor, look at this positioning from him. He's got the flank ready, which should be able to clean it up, but this is going to be quite costly, man. And Spirit behind this is getting another drop going. I love the way that Spirit's handling this game.
Yeah, he's just going to lift up these Marines here. I don't think there's any reason to let these Banelings connect, and he is focusing with the Siege tanks to get every Baneling possible. So this is going to be cleaned up, but he's already moving up the right side with another drop. I love how Spirit's approaching this, just very clean up the left side. Good decision, didn't stick around too long, and he's keeping Reynor on a lower drone count than he'd be comfortable with, right? So worker count is much more even than you'd expect. He actually drops back in, gets another Queen over here while the drop is on that right side as well. So Spirit still playing very well and just all over Reynor at the moment. Going to jump up in the main base and just be so annoying.
This is how you know these guys are on top of it right now. Like, they are playing so well. As soon as their upgrades finish, look at that. Boom, 2-2 starter for both of them. And that's amidst all this craziness going on. Spirit's still getting a little bit of damage done. Reynor's actually holding on very well. Let's have a look at the drone count. 78 versus 69. Nice. Definitely close between the two. Spirit this game opting for a second factory now. Going for the armor upgrades over the attack upgrade. So not going for that Marrow-esque style where you have the +3 weapons in mind for the Hellbats later on. Not just yet anyway. Does look like he will be wanting to go maybe into Widow Mines with this, getting that second factory up.
Yes. Especially with the plating, the Widow Mines definitely just seems to make the most sense. I mean, you can kind of get it for the tanks too, but as we make one more tank, I wonder if that's just going to be his baseline kind of defense, and now he just starts to really crank out the Widow Mines. We try and drop into this main base. Oh, that was a retarget on the Spork roll, I believe, to start shooting that low HP medevac that had units inside a little sooner. So, good play there. The Queen does survive as well. At least these Marines will trade with the Lings, but it's time to lift up and get out. We try and drop down for a Baneling or two, but Reynor's not going to let the Banes run into single Marines.
I thought he was going to try and snipe the Queen there, because getting a Queen out of sorts can always be a little bit of a nifty move. Look at Reynor's resources, by the way. Like, he's definitely feeling the pressure. Like, his resources are way higher than they kind of should be at this point in time, I feel. But, I mean, he has been under a lot of pressure. 90 drones to 80 SCVs. Definitely both macroing up, like crazy here. I was going to say like 1-0, and I just knew that you're going to be like, what's 1-0? And I was like, damn you, Nottingham slang. But yeah, Vipers do start up, so he's utilizing that bank that he had, making a lot of drones extra, getting a lot of standard defense ready. It feels like Reynor knows he's survived the scary part of the game, and now this is where Reynor really thrives.
Yeah, Reynor is absolutely in the driver's seat in terms of where he wants to be. I still love what Spirit's doing, though. I mean, he definitely realizes he can't just go for a larger push. He knows Reynor is safe enough, so he's just taking these little bits and pieces. Creep Tumor, couple of extra Banelings at the end here as well. Just any little nap he can find, knowing every advantage will go a long way. As he sets up with a couple of libs and 2 more tanks, he actually kept on tank production. I wonder... I guess he is just going to sit back because he got the Ghost Academy up. So we're just going to start playing defensive, which in a way is where Spirit loves to be. Let's see if Reynor can play into this later game then, because Spirit is, I guess so far, really done everything he wanted to. He's never overcommitted, and now he gets to play this kind of, you know, comfortable later game. Yes, Reynor thrives late game, but late game where there's like a lot going on, there's action everywhere. This is very much still going to be Reynor trying to attack in, but a very defensive Terran may not allow that to be super good for him.
Yeah, I feel that Reynor is the kind of guy that consumes the map very well, but because he consumes it so fast, if it's a split map scenario, then he gets in trouble, because the trades might not always be as efficient as you may like. If you put a Dark in that kind of situation, you really know that he's gunning for every fight to be as good as possible. But so far, Reynor's playing nice and patient, getting a few cheeky Liberator grabs here. I mean, so far, he's handling himself very well, and they both know what they're up against. I do worry a little bit for Spirit playing this kind of game against Reynor, just because right now, unit comp-wise, Reynor's getting to a point that he can go absolutely anything he wants to.
Yeah. He's going to have the money to do it. He already 4K minerals in the bank. His gas is trailing a bit, but he's been very kind of, you know, heavy on upgrades. He's also getting Burrow, which could be very cool at certain points of this as well, so a few things to watch for there. Planetary Fortress, bottom right, he's going to have to cancel and lift off. The moment that one link saw that CC land, I was like, there is no way there's not going to be a larger force there to delay that. And that's what you want to do as Reynor. Make it as difficult as possible for Spirit to get a 5th base so that he can't reach that extra little bit of economy that really secures you. I mean, you get a 5th base now, you're kind of more or less good on economy for the next 10 minutes or so, which is a long time in a game of StarCraft 2, as we are going to go for a larger push in. The tank line is heavily layered here, and his Lings clump on initial tanks. It lets the others do a lot, but there's just so much Ling Bane still pushing forward. And that's a lot of dead siege tanks on the tail end of this, if nothing else.
I gotta say, those EMPs were absolutely sick. Like, I think Reynor ran in there just hoping those blinding clouds were going to land, but they never did. They never did at all. And so that trade there, I think that was super good for Spirit. Granted, it was kind of, he did get his tank count absolutely shattered, but that was a lot of gas going down the drain for Reynor and not a base kill. I think he wanted more out of that situation.
Yeah, definitely agreeable. We had some Mountifacts I just saw coming back home from the top left. I don't know if they got cleaned up and there was units inside that didn't do so hot, but that was something else going on at the same time. Just both these players staying extremely busy throughout this game. As we once again see Spirit attempting for the bottom right. I actually think he did cancel a base of Reynor on the top left because that was on the way before, so he's seen some success in multiple places at the same time, which is always nice. We do get rid of this Ling and just instantly drops mules on this base, knowing that the more money he can get off of it ASAP, the better. So he's not afraid to drop the mules on this new one the second he gets it landed.
Look at this, by the way. Spirit's not been making Widow Mines at all. He is going for this setup that I've seen him do time and time again, where it's like, tank, Liberator. That is a lot of Reynor, and yet again, not that many Vipers available, just 2. There's only 1 Blinding Cloud left, but the Ling's getting massive wraparounds here. The Ghosts are staying alive. That PF is standing, will get taken out, so that is what Reynor was here set out to achieve, was to limit the bases, because he will be able to rebuild a lot faster than Spirit. It might look like not the cleanest kind of play, but it's how you can play Zerg. You outmass your opponent, you swarm them down, and behind it, Reynor's doing everything right. He's just growing, and he's starting to take bases that don't belong to him, and he's going to start mining them as well. And Spirit, I don't think he's going to be able to weather the storm in this game. Even though he's holding and trading decently well, it's exactly what Reynor's setting out to do.
With the bases that Reynor's starting to get up, Spirit needs to start finding even more efficient trades. And honestly, I think he's just struggling against being so Ling Bane heavy. You know, Ghost can be good, but in this scenario, you kind of need something to deal with the Ling count a little bit more. And Widow Mine's definitely missing in a composition like this. I feel like we are going to have to split up this ramp. Let's see what we can do. It's a lot of Lings leading the charge. There's the Planetary Force to help. A couple tanks already taken down. A few Hydras mixed in here as well just to aid. And the Baneling's now starting to grab some of these units, and there is just too much Reynor, because he's ready to rebuild once again, and Spirit just cannot stay stable on a 5th base. With the extra bit of economy he really needs to just bounce back from these attacks time and time again.
Yeah, like Reynor, even though he's not truly maxed out yet, 190, it's not because he's not lacking the resources. This was a lava situation, which expanded more, 40 Banelings at once. He made 82 Lings before this. He's got another army rearing to go. And this one, this push, this is going to be really hard for Spirit to hold. I mean, he's been doing a good job so far of just hanging on, but the resources lost. It's actually fairly close between them, and it looks like it shouldn't be, but it's because Spirit, while he maxed out once, he didn't have enough for the next one, the next one, the next one, whereas Reynor, He did. He has been macroing like crazy behind this, and look at that spread. That is the swarm. He is enveloping the Terran army. All the ghosts called out as well. I think this is the beginning of the end here, and look at the supply for Reynor going up, and yet again, so many lings. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just going to knock down this planetary, continues through. There's another great EMP on the Vipers out of Spirit, but honestly, just so much Zerg, and that's kind of the problem with altitude, right? For how well Spirit did early on, there's just so much opportunity for Reynor and so much net safety, and he did a great job of just saying to Spirit, hey, you're not allowed to play this kind of turtle up kind of game. Spirit's going to type GG's right there, and that is going to be Reynor tying this series 1-1. Very comfortable game on his own map pick. We'll see what we do going into Game 3. I do feel as though this is kind of a statement to Spirit, which says, hey, look, if that's the kind of long game you want to play, it ain't going to work for you.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And there are players that I've been scared of their styles before. You know, I'm not currently active competing anymore, but that's the kind of Zerg that I'm scared of, Wardy. Like, that's the kind of Zerg that I played against in the past. And I've been like, that is definitely a way of doing it that would actually give me a world of trouble. And Reynor does it better than anybody. He pretty much innovated it, if you will. Like, he was good enough and fast enough to be the one to pull it off and make it happen. And he's made it absolutely his own. And he's so damn good with it. And if there's one thing that I really liked that he assessed in that game, it's that I don't need to tech up. I don't need to make, like, he had a what's it called, hive techs, and he had the 3/3. He had all the upgrades he needed. He had the Vipers, but it was like, you know what? I'm in a position here that if I bust you once and I keep the pressure on, I keep leaning on you, I've got you. So he had the Hydras out that helped take out the Liberators and stuff, but pure Ling Bane, the mass that you could get going. And it's the kind of army as well that you can just replenish time and time again. So I like that he stuck on that, and he didn't try and overcomplicate things, which is also the sign of a good player, knowing when to make it clean and when to make it a little bit tricky for yourself.
I have Neo Humanity up next, which is a fun one, right? So this map is kind of one of the weirder maps in the map pool, and some people really like playing TVZ on this, others don't. It's been one of the maps which either side has vetoed at different points in time. Interestingly enough, kind of the maps further down the line, Reynor chose to veto Royal Blood, so we will, after this, have Dragon Scales and Babylon, which, for the most part, I would have said are definitely a bit more Terran favored, and of course Spirit is guaranteed to see at least one of those, because he's got the first map of this series. So I do feel like, there's definitely kind of a story in the maps that, after Neo Humanity, it definitely gets more and more towards that kind of Game 1 sort of style for Spirit, where he can be very good pushing, he can be very aggressive, and honestly, I go back to how Altitude started as well. I feel like on a smaller map, you 100% as Spirit are able to just do a little bit more, keep on pushing, and with all of that in play, I actually think that Spirit could probably have taken that and just sort of said, oh, on a smaller map, I just run away with the game and never have to look back again, right? So I think that's a couple things to look at, keep in mind. Spirit's asked for a small break, which is why we're talking a little bit more than we've done for the rest of the season. Just a rare occasion where we actually have to wait around for players, so yeah, that's why I've got a couple moments here before this TVZ resumes. 1-1 between Reynor and Spirit currently.
I mean, it's good to give the players a moment. There's no lower bracket this time. Like, it's do or die. Every game they play. And Reynor's like the Piotr Classic.
Yeah.
And I know that too. I knew the players that would ask for a break when they needed it, and everybody is allowed their break and stuff. But yeah, there's a few players that I knew more often than not would take their breaks, and it could be after a win or lose. It wouldn't matter. As soon as they could, they would. But yeah, he is back. He's ready to go. And Neo Humanity, yeah, I like what you're saying about it. It is a little bit smaller. I have seen a lot of really good games on this, and I think this suits that tank liberator style that Spirit likes a lot more. Just because you can really, even though it is wider, you can make it very narrow. And then the tanks and liberators can cover a far vaster area while also still being useful. And it makes it a bit hard to break. And we saw that in games like Ragnarok Beyond, where he had to travel the whole narrow distance of the map and kind of got picked off a little bit here, a little bit there, that even if you do break them, it's actually very hard to land the killing blow.
Oh no, that's very, very true, as we do start in the bottom right with the red Terran from the Starlight Twinkle. It is Spirit.
And spawning over in the northwest side, it is Reynor. I have to go through all the numbers on my keyboard to find out which one's you, Wardy.
Yeah, I know that feel, mate.
This time you ended up being number 9, so
Number
it took me a while to
9?
get there.
It's so random. You know, it's always the one that's like the last in the list. Honestly, it really is the one that you want. Like, unless it's the person hosting the game. Sometimes the person hosting the game is like always 3, but like the one you actually want to join, doesn't matter what happens, what order they join the lobby in, they're at the last spot. Happens every time.
Yeah, I kind of nailed it the game before. But this time, bloody hell. All right. Kevin's giving me some tips. Thank you, you cast masters, you pair. All right, so this game, far more normal openings from both of these dudes. We got a barracks first from Spirit. It's not like a CC play, but I mean, I kind of like the CC play on the map prior, and CC first in general is quite good. And Reynor isn't going for any of those pool first shenanigans either. It's kind of funny that the one game that he's down so far is the one game that he was a little bit cheeky, right? Like, it's one of those things that we wanted from a lot of European Zergs back in the times of Snoot, where we're like, please start mixing it up a little bit, you know? You'll be so much scarier. And these guys have started mixing it up. They are a lot scarier, the fact that they're quite versatile and whatnot. But yeah, Neo-Humanity.
Neo-Humanity, indeed. I was going to say, you know, it's funny because I feel like Spirit has been such an abuser of the CC first, as of late. And it's just, I feel like he's almost respecting Reynor's ability to kind of do a bit of anything. And so, you know, yeah, altitude, sure, because that's the biggest map. So he did go CC first there. But he is 100% the kind of guy who would CC first on Grezvan, who would CC first here on Neo-Humanity. But he's just not doing that in this series. And like I said, I kind of like it because it's just a bit of a respect as to the fact he knows that Reynor will pull out anything and will absolutely abuse it. And by not doing it every game so far, it leaves it open for him to do a bit later on as well still if he feels like he wants to try it. Because Reynor's not naturally ready to kind of deny that sort of stuff too. No third hatchery down from Reynor, and that actually becomes a bit of an issue here because you don't really have a good alternate third than this forward one. Honestly, sometimes I feel like, you know, if you are in this position as the Terran, you can like drop like an engineering bay on this third base, and then it's just going to be forever before you can actually get the drone to build the hatchery. And you're just kind of stuck on 2 bases for a while. So, I mean, the Reaper's doing a great job on its own. Doesn't necessarily need the engineering bay right now, but just one of those funny things that's... whoa! You can build on top of a Reaper grenade. I actually never knew that. I guess it makes sense, though.
Yeah, it's not classed as a building like the turret and stuff, so it works out. Yeah, you're right. I remember... What was that? It was a 2-player map. Bly was one of the... It has 2 gold bases where you could expand on the...
Prion Terraces.
Was it Prion Terraces?
2 gold bases?
Yeah, 2 gold bases. In fact, it might have 3, like one in the middle top or as well.
Oh, really?
It was like Blackout or something.
Oh,
like
Black
like super. Huh?
No. I know which one you mean. It was like, and the bases point to each other.
Yeah. Or maybe it was like the one where Zest had a like he'd void ray rush somebody in a GSL and just lost like all his voids to Widow Mines and stuff. It was terrible.
Really?
But in fact, now I forgot what point I was going to bring up. But I was
Blackburn?
I was gonna Blackburn. Yes, thank you. I was gonna bring up. Yeah, I was gonna bring up something about it, but then I like muddled my brain to try and find out what the map was, and bloomin' heck, blimey. But scouting with that SCV. Thank you, Wardy. Thank you. Yeah,
no worries. I didn't say.
There was a third that you really wanted to take, which was the one more in line with your bases, as opposed to the forward one. So, like, when you did the SCV scout, Maru went through a period of time where it was like, okay, this is the one that you have to take, kind of thing, where he was doing, like, a little bunker or engineering bay block, just for a little bit of time against Zergs, because very often you do go for an SCV scout anyway. And yeah, this is definitely the kind of map where you can't be thinking, all right, I'm going to take this base instead. Because where else do you take? Do you take that forward one? Do you take the one that was wrapped around those minerals? I guess you could, but it takes a little bit of extra time. You have to plan it beforehand.
Even the one wrapped around the minerals is terrible. Tanks on the high ground hit the minerals, and it's just it's an awful position to defend. The forward one, obviously not good against a Terran. And that's why, you know, it was nice for Spirit to delay that third base, but I really feel like, you know, delaying it even further and making Reynor even consider a different base could have been kind of cool, but not going to be the case anyways at the end of the day.
Spire on the way for Reynor here. You know, I like that from him. He is against a Banshee opening. I don't know if he is 100% on that. I'll quickly check his vision. He did know it was a starport with the tech lab doing its little glow thing. But here, what's actually going to happen in this game between them?
Spire's just kind of good on this map. It's large enough in terms... It's funny because you expand towards each other, so it doesn't feel large, but it is large enough to get mutas across. You've got a great triangle set up to jump from mineral line to mineral line, with some dead airspace to get away into. So, mutas, if you ever see them, Neo Humanity seems to be one of the go-to maps for them. Instant pull away, by the way, from these Banshees. Yeah. That was really quick from Reynor. He is... Wow. Yeah, okay. Talk about making sure you take no damage early game. Obviously, he is losing mining time, but that's very minimal compared to actually losing workers, as we get one drone for all of that Banshee hunting effort.
Yeah, that was really well done by Reynor. One drone, and then these Banshees are at event. So doing that again, that's going to be a little bit tricky. You have to wait, and one of them's half damaged as well. Does get a scan going down. Where was the Spire? In fact, that Spire.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to scan that out. And Spirit knows something's up, but he doesn't know what, which is always kind of a tricky spot. But the fact that this map is so narrow does make it pretty good for Muta. Like, the Muta, for defensive purposes, there's not many avenues where medevacs can, like, sneak around the edges and what have you. But also, if you are on the other side of the map, it takes your opponent a long time to do that counterattack and get to you. Kind of like the whole Jagannatha thing, where it's so narrow and long. And also these slow zones, can't forget that, just make it the avenues which you can go still a little bit tricky to go about.
No, absolutely is. First mutas will be on the map, so we will see them, see what they want to do very soon. Spirit, by the way, just so good at kind of keeping units alive right now. Very Clem-esque, But I always say Clem's so good at retaining units, and it's kind of what we're doing here. We're keeping these Banshees alive for a long time. We're now using them to keep, creep cleared out. He didn't just go overboard trying to get through and force them into, an advantageous spot. The mutas are going to show up, and there's going to be damage taken here from Spirit. He is pushing up the left side with Marines only. But yeah, these mutas show up, and there's just no prior preparations.
Yeah, nothing whatsoever. And let's see what he can get done. I mean, the turrets do start coming down, but these mutas, they've been unanswered. And Reynor, he's droning up behind this. He's also committing to the mutas pretty hard, which I like in this kind of situation. He hasn't started his +1/+1 ground, by the way. Like that. Okay, it should have started now. If it was any longer, I'd have started worrying a little bit. But Spirit does start booting up his 2-2. A Thor on the way as well. And for all intents and purposes, he did have a very quick 4th, so he's not dead by any means.
Yeah.
And Reynor's absolutely the kind of guy that gas bank isn't there. The drone count is there, so it will probably start scaling pretty soon. But the 5th and 6th, their gases aren't flowing yet, but he does have a rich gas available to him now. But yeah, he's not as rich as you might think, at least when it comes to just throwing in banelings here, there, and everywhere.
No, that's very true. Because that muta's going to come dive in. Missile turret is going to get knocked down. A couple more Marines will go down, but the Thor gets a shot off. With the way that Reynor's playing, super behind on upgrades, very, reliant on the mutas, it's so important that he does control the game with these, because there is a point where if Spirit maxes and pushes, the army comp of Reynor is not ideal to deal with that. It's not impossible, but it's going to be some rough trades, and I do like that he's finding, even though he's going very heavy on the mutas, he's also getting an Infestation Pit, a Hydra Den too, so it looks like we're thinking about a Lurker switch down the line here. That might actually catch Spirit a little bit off guard. It's not the most common kind of go-to at this stage.
No, it certainly isn't. Nice little Spore Crawler making there to save all those drones. This unit situation for Spirit is starting to get scary, though. And Reynor, he's not being stubborn. As soon as he hits the max, he's like, you know what? I've got a lot of mutas. These can obviously deal a lot of damage. But he gets the Hive started, and he's got the Hydralisk Den finished as well. I like that. It's a mature play where it's like, you know what? I've got map control. I've got my opponent there. Can I start throwing units at him? Possibly, but there is a chance that he wanders across the map and kills me. So I'm just going to make sure I tech up, get all the boxes ticked, and start getting to that next stage of the game, because my gas is not quite high enough that I can do anything I want just yet.
Yeah, no, it's very true. He just doesn't have quite the bank set up. Ling's set up on the bottom left side, of course. Spirit's been pretty defensively set up for a while. He's even going to knock down the rocks in the center, so takes that option away. In terms of maybe rocks coming down mid-fight or something a little bit crazy like that. We've seen a few that happen a few times the last few days, where there have been some crazier moments. And as you have our bio just splitting across all these bases, and Well, the problem is you want to kind of stay spread, but you also don't want to stay so spread the mutas start picking you apart heavily. But also, the more that Spirit sits back here, the more it's like the lurkers are coming online kind of freely as well. So Reynor's just very happy to kind of let Spirit sit here and take a base because his army's getting better with those lurkers very shortly.
It's going to get a whole lot better, and Spirit has not gone cheap on the turrets. He's got a good 12 or so on the map right now. That Thor, oh, that's the only Thor alive. Okay, he does make sure to keep it alive here. Reynor's just making sure that his creep spreads get in places, man. Like, this map is looking unbelievably purple right now. There's creep anyway that Spirit leaves his bases. I know that south little slot there, probably going to be his next base at the 12 o'clock. There's even creep there from an Overlord, I know. Not yet creep, but that blue is just, it's everywhere, man. 5k minerals in the bank, 1.5k gas. I don't know what the income is, 1600 gas per minute for Reynor, and look at that production. He's getting a second Spire as well, ready for upgrades coming online, and he's already at +2 air weapons. So, yeah, he feels rich. He feels very comfortable.
Just getting absolutely everything, but it's Spirit that's kind of allowing that to happen as, well, this medevac ain't long for this world. He does get cancelled on this base, but I mean, you need to control these bases. You can't just let them get out of control. You can't just let them build freely, because if you let them build freely, you're already kind of accepting that you're letting this game slip, because then Reynor does just mine from every base on the map, and no matter how well you trade, it's almost impossible to contest with that. So there has to be some amount of attention paid by Spirit to denying bases of Reynor, to trying to slow him down as best as he can. We have got a lot of Ling Bane still sitting here, and yeah, just waiting for the next step, which is going to be a fusion core and an extra starport from Spirit. He's obviously got tons of CCs.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he's gone for a second armory as well, because this is absolutely the kind of game where those upgrades can come in pretty damn big. Like, a lot of players neglect those upgrades. Oh, there is a big attack coming on that right side. I almost thought he wasn't going to commit with his wall being there and stuff, but is there enough Banelings to take out this PF? Not quite by the looks of it. And that's so many ghosts here, Wardy. Like, that is a crazy number to have, just kind of lying in wait for any old situation. But yeah, Spirit, he's not maxed out, but his army is quality.
Yes, and that was a horrible first fight in from Reynor. He lost a lot, didn't knock down a base, which feels like something you're almost always trying to aim to do. Oh, he missed! He missed the ghost! Oh, no, he's going to find it now, but he's got to fly away from the nuke. Oh my god, I thought he was going to fly into the nuke, man. I really believed.
I thought for a second as well. And that little nuke there actually bought Spirit quite a bit of time, because he is not remaxing, but like purposefully. Everything that he's remaxing on is gas heavy, like 4 ghosts and 2 liberators at once. That's pretty massive. He's also getting the liberator range online. He's getting all the turret upgrades as well, high sec auto tracking, the armor upgrade as well. You don't often see that one, but that will make these mutas a lot less useful as this game goes on. But it also makes those PFs a lot better against these Zergling numbers. But that's a healthy number of mutas. Holy crap, 36.
Yeah. It was 39, just lost a couple there to snipes, but I was just thinking, I was like, man, it's a ridiculous amount of mutas for how, honestly, inactive they've been as well, right? Like, the entire game's been quite inactive. There's not been a lot lost. It's been very minimal fights, 1 or 2 push-ins, but that's about it, and, I mean, these mutas still have to put in work, because if they just disintegrate and disappear during a fight, that's a lot of supply lost very quickly, and it's very possible. And then, what do you rebuild into at that point as well is a good question. I mean, Reynor's adding more mutas on, so he's not done with mutas. He really wants these mutas to just absolutely dominate here, and there is just a lack of Thors, right? We only have the 1 Thor, whereas at this point, 3 or 4 would have actually really been amazing to have.
I mean, it's nice having 20 ghosts, but he kind of can't have them all in one area right now, because he just have to worry about what can come from another side. But Reynor, he's like, you know what? 36 mutas, let's throw down 5 more. They're going to be getting sick upgrades as well, going up to +3, 1 right now. So these armor upgrades for them are... they're going to... I mean, they're almost going to be fully upgraded mutas very soon. And they have to be careful, though, because ghosts do not give a damn about your armor upgrades, Wardy.
Yep, those snipes will just cut through mutas and shoot them out the sky, so... As we do see, Spirit is going to contest that right side base. It's important for him to do that. He wants to make sure that Reynor doesn't mine more than his half of the bases on this map. And that's what Reynor's trying to do with these mutas, trying to be active enough, busy enough that he's able to do that. So, continuing in that vein, we do knock down a hatchery on the right side. We line up a nuke that cancels straight away. It was just a bit of a fake out. And maybe gets Reynor looking around for a little while, but Reynor now just pulling back up with the mutas to the top side. We are sat at 42 of them. 4 lurkers left. We just killed a few on the right. And Reynor just not replacing those at all, just letting the 4 be all there is.
It's starting to get to a point that I am
He
getting a
only has
little bit
mutas.
worried. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Reynor, because if Spirit does at any point choose to just kind of go, like those mutas, remaxing an army that's capable of beating this amount of ghosts, that's actually, unless it's just pure Ling Baneling afterwards, but it's going to be tricky, man. But these mutas, they're definitely getting some damage done. I mean, they take out a PF with arm upgrades really damn fast, but not without loss. Oh, yeah, we kept it alive. Nice play.
There's a lot of snipes going off as well, so he saved the base. Now the mutas are going to go for the ghosts. We actually have Lib showing up as well. More ghosts from behind are going to try and snipe. That's important. The ghosts in the front took a bit of a beating. We got the Overseer. With the Overseer going down, you don't have detection to keep hitting the ghosts, so that's important. That's a big one. Why are we're rebuilding 14 more mutas? I feel like this is one of the games where afterwards, we potentially, you know, if we talk to Reynor, he'd be like, yeah, I don't know. It just felt like a good idea. Looking back, it was kind of dumb because I just don't see them doing enough. I mean, you're losing so much on these mutas now. And you just, like I say, you've got nothing else. You've got, I guess, doubling the lurker count is nice. That's really the only fighting units he has. I'm baffled. This is beyond expectations when it comes to mutas.
You know what it feels like to me? It feels like Reynor's kind of said to himself, I can't beat that army with anything, so I'm going to try and avoid it as much as possible. Which mutas do really well, but at some point, you're going to need to battle the beast, innit? And he is getting good damage here. That's a couple of Liberators down. I mean, this is starting to get good damage done. The Ghosts do finally get back here to try and sort things out. So these mutas getting the value that they've been after for a long time, actually.
This time around, a ton of Overseers making sure they can't all be sniped easily. Because again, if the Ghosts line up a snipe and the mutas get on top of them, they just need one shot and boom, the glaives bounce and suddenly the Ghosts, none of them are firing because damage interrupts the sniping ability. That is a big part of what Reynor is going to utilize to try and limit what the Ghosts can do. As we hit 9 more mutas in production, that's 40 mutas on the map once again. So 40 mutas alive, 41 have died. We're talking 8k in mutas this game. That's a huge investment. 16,000 resources of mutas? That's, yeah, expensive.
It's actually mental. Like, it is mental. There's no other way to put it. And these mutas, they're a lot. It's almost 2 groups here that he's microing with, going full Jadong on us. And that army, or that base there, will get kind of swallowed here. The missile turret's doing a little bit of tickle action going on. These Liberators don't yet have the air attack going on for them, so these mutas can actually sort of go toe-to-toe, which is kind of funny. Lots of Liberators, actually. Lots of Ghosts defending as well. Oh, man, this is one of those games that's frustrating for Reynor, because he does feel like he's in good shape, but it's like, all right, I can't touch your army right now with what I have, but it's kind of from his own doing, really.
He is doing a very good job of making it frustrating for Spirit, though, because Spirit's like trying to respond to his little attack on the left, and then Reynor finds all the tanks on the right because they were just left alone. So the mutas are able to kind of swoop in and get a bunch of free kills, and just keeping track of these mutas is almost impossible because they're so fast moving. And that's the one thing Reynor is utilizing extremely well so far in this game. The speed and mobility of those mutas and their ability to just reposition around the map at a moment's notice.
How many Ghosts have we got? 27 Ghosts on the field. Oh, all those fresh mules. That base won't be around for long, but oh my god, he's actually committing there. I am genuinely shocked that Reynor ran in there, because that... How many mutas died just then? Well, we were down to 28, 12. So it must have been a good 15 or so.
Yeah, we just lost 12, and he killed some lurkers as well recently too, so he's been just... He is getting good trades. I mean, that said, the resources lost is actually more even than you'd expect, only a 3k difference, and that's purely because... Reynor is finding moments where suddenly the mutas kill like 1-2k resources of the Terran. Because there's just that many of them, it's impossible to keep track of these mutas 100% of the time. So for all the bad fights they take, they are taking some good ones too. Dive in this base, we're going to try and repair the planetary while the Ghosts get in position here. Try and make the mutas stick around long enough. This time Reynor is very aware of what Spirit's trying to do and he leaves very quickly. But Spirit's got to push up the middle. I just don't know how do we fight the main army? That is still a question I have.
And it's a question that I don't think will be answered for a while. He is starting to transition into more lurkers here, which is good. Because one thing that this army... I was going to say, one thing this amount of Ghosts isn't that good against is a bunch of lurkers and banes, if you can kind of wrap around on it. And, I mean, he's doing a good job with these mutas, man. Even though we've been kind of critical of him for the amount that he's got and stuff and still kind of roaming around with, he is getting damage done. They are useful. And Reynor has done a good job of just kind of slipping out the drones for static defense, not losing them, and he is getting a massive army behind it all as well. He just has to be careful, because Spirit's been in this situation time and time again, where he's used to playing these kind of games. You don't want to fall into his hands of getting all your eggs in one basket and just going for one big fight.
No, you do want to be careful, as a tank across the way is going to get taken down by those few lurkers. Ling's going to hit this base bottom left. That is just a command center. It can lift off, but that's all the turrets going down, so Muta's creating value by forcing turrets that are not going to be used and just get killed. I mean, I'm glad he's finally transitioning. To be fair, maybe the entire plan was Muta, Muta, Muta until you have enough of a bank to make this massive switch. The only thing I will say about this massive switch is it's not going to catch Spirit off guard. It's not like he's like on 6-7 Thors because he was like, oh my god, so many Mutas. Like, he built a lot of libs, but libs are so multifunctional, especially against lurkers. They can just siege up and shut down lurker lines. So I like what Spirit's done against these Mutas. Like, he never... Like, yes, he's responded to them, as we gotta be careful of that, but he's never left himself open to his opponent just doing something completely offbeat moments after, and, like, switching it up on him with him not being prepared.
Yeah, you know what? That army of Spirit is so damn powerful that I'm like, yeah, if they fight, I'm really worried for Reynor. So the fact that they haven't fought yet, and that's because Reynor's bouncing from either side of the map, well played to him for making it so freaking weird, but now you're starting to see the power of this Terran army like that. That is scary as hell. And Spirit still has a lot of supply to utilize as well here, Wardy. Nice CFPs going down, trying to stop those Vipers from doing their magic.
Spirit just has like 2,000 more gas in the armies on the map, and also like 1,000, 2,000 more minerals. So his army is just that much more valuable. If that trades out equally or means equal things, then that's definitely a benefit for him. Of course, that's a big question to be asked. We are going to get through all these missile turrets over here. These Mutas finally really just dropping in numbers. We've been seeing that for a while. We've known that for a little bit. So shouldn't be too surprising. They are still going to have a final say on this base, as the libs are going to show up. And I mean, honestly, only 9 SCVs felt like that was meant to be a lot worse for Spirit.
It did. Those turrets are definitely buying Spirit a lot of time. And the resources lost tab you brought up earlier, it's not as bad as you think. And Reynor, he's done a good job of every time he gets one of these new bases, he's making sure that he's getting the gas out of them. Minerals starts to become less of an issue. It's that gas that becomes a massive issue. To take out this kind of army, you need gas to take it out, which I think he knows. He's playing a very patient game here. And Spirit, he just can't seem to cage in Reynor. It's Reynor making all the plays here.
It really is. These Liberators need to decide what they want to do to help out against this ground force. They will siege up eventually, and they will honestly get quite a lot of Lings on the way out. Like, it looks ridiculous, but it is a good trade, even if there's a lot of overkilling going on. And it'll yoink on a tank on the left side. Reynor obviously just showing us what he is good at, which is being, very high action, very just, quickly paced, and all the way throughout this game, it feels like he's always been looking left, looking right. I mean, you have to with this style. Not everyone can make this work. The reason it has worked is because Reynor's played it so well. Important base for Spirit to deny, as he has worked his way towards each and every base so far. He needs to make sure Reynor still doesn't mine off bases that are meant to be his.
I mean, Spirit, he's been the perfect turtle Terran, honestly. Like, there's been engagements going on here, there, and everywhere, but he's kept his army alive, which, that's a tricky thing to do, man, because any little grab that happened on him, and these ghosts are out of position one time, or the Liberators even when we've seen the Vipers with the parasitic bombs and little skirmishes going on. But here it is. That is a massive army flanking in there, and it is going to consume and deal damage. But look at that ghost spread from Spirit. He is dealing with this nicely, easily. There will be a few CCs going down, but oh my goodness. That was damage done on both sides, I feel. But all things said and done, this just makes Reynor feel a little hopeless, I feel.
Yeah, it was worse for Reynor. Obviously, he did lose more resources in that fight than what Spirit lost, so that's the problem. At some point, you still have to take this big fight. He is getting up towards some spellcasters now. It just feels like everything that Reynor did was great. It was active. I can understand the idea of the Mutas, but at the end of the day, we're still ending up in this scenario where the Terran has their ultimate army, and you're still trying to find a way to crack through that ultimate army. And that's going to be forever the issue here for Reynor.
Yeah, like, if you planted Serral in the shoes now, and it's like, okay, what army does he start going for? You have a very finessey army that you need like 4 control groups to micro, where you're getting these pulls, these abducts off, the corruptors. He is starting to go into corruptors, and he does have a few spellcasters out, such as the Viper, the Infestors, but I feel this is one of those times where it's like, okay, I'm going to resort to that, as opposed to I want to go that, you know, which that's problematic. And Spirit, he's just been weathering the storm, which he's done a really good job of it. He's actually totally split the map now. So every bit of resources he takes from this point on, they're his to take. That it's not as if he's getting stolen against anymore, which is very problematic for Reynor. And Reynor losing that top right base, that's a base that should and always belong to him, which it doesn't anymore.
If Spirit actually starts to mine a base over Reynor, this is extremely problematic. It's not the way around it's meant to be in TVZ. Reynor will try and re-expand bottom left. Tell you what, later on, these command centers and just turrets and stuff, the mutas have just struggled to get through them. The plating upgrade is actually a big deal at this point, and obviously it's the final kind of hurrah of the mutas. There's not many of them left. They are going to put a bit more power in, a few more SCVs, but they are going to be done for. Spirit, 28 SCVs only, and he just has so much army supply. That's why it's so tough. I like that Reynor's going into those Broodlords and those Spellcasters, but at this stage, he basically needs to take one very good fight and really kind of win out, or he really needs to deny this bottom left with Spirit and mine the top right himself.
Those mutas are getting themselves into a bit of a scary spot. Granted, they're down to 6 now. Wardy, how many mutas have died this game, just so you can give me a number?
I think it's like 74. 75. Yeah, actually.
It's definitely a lot. Like, they got a lot of damage done, and Reynor does strike back, does take out that base on the right side. Let's check the gases out on those gas. There's still quite a bit of gas there to mine, so definitely decent, definitely decent.
Yep, every single base like that you can kill is big, as we do get the final mutas of the game killed. That means we've had 81 mutas this game, and that's going to be the final number. A couple libs, Bioforces coming back into the center, and Spirit obviously still max, so is Reynor. Getting Corruptors, Broodlords, Vipers, all the Spellcasters now finally hitting this kind of later game army, which usually the Zerg has been on for a while, unless they're just kind of Ling Bane busting forever, but obviously it's not been that kind of a game, as few Overseers from the mutas are taking some turret damage on the way out, because after playing that many mutas, there's been turrets everywhere all the time.
It might be better just keeping them in the back of base for potential Niduses. But yeah, here we do see Reynor starting to move forward with a lot of his static defense, and the casters, the Broodlords, are starting to move on through. But it's so hard to get the Infestors to do anything here. Look at those Liberation Zones. They are plenty, and oh my goodness, Spirit has to be careful. Just really want to chase into this, I feel, because chasing into it, it's a bit scary, but EMPs are landing, and oh my goodness, the amount of ghosts. These Broodlords, they're all in red health here, Wardy, and he's just gunning on through. He doesn't care about what's on the floor, and the Thor's coming for a flank as well. Oh my goodness, Spirit putting on an absolute masterclass of how to engage a Zerg through a narrow choke like that. That was phenomenal.
He realized that if he chased, that he only needed one EMP, and then he could actually keep going through, so he ate that one fungal growth, and then he just kept going. Then Reynor didn't have enough at all. The lurkers on the right side might have been needed there to keep that ground army at bay. I don't think Reynor ever expected to be pushed into like that, so he felt fine with the lurkers elsewhere. Well, this is obviously a serious issue now. Reynor's got to rebuild, and he didn't even have the lava to do it instantly. He's going to go back to Corruptor Broodlord, but that's a mega expensive army to rebuild from scratch. So he's going to use pretty much the majority of his bank. Spirit gets to mine off a fresh base, bottom left corner because of this, and will even attempt to take over Reynor's base on the left side too. I mean, Reynor's going to be given the time to rebuild, but this was a massive win for Spirit, who has a larger bank than Reynor here, 29 minutes deep on Neo-Humanity.
Yeah, and that resources lost tab, it's starting to look very clearly in favor of Spirit this time, and his army is kind of crafted to deal with a Broodlord army, isn't it? Like, it's even got quite a few Thors in the mix here, a good 4, 11 libs, 23 ghosts. Like, these are some of the scariest armies that you can go about making. What's the Viper count and Infestor count? 4 to 4 there. 7 lurkers. It is a real shame, though. You called it, the lurkers. If he just had, like, 2 lurkers on that left side, 3, 4, you know, you can't do what Spirit did. That would have been, you know, that siege would have probably still been going on. But yeah, we do have Reynor now looking for these fights on the left side. He's kind of had enough of getting bullied about by Spirit. And he is doing good stuff with the burrow here, stopping the command centers from landing, but I feel the frustration from Reynor being able to fight against this army. It just feels like Spirit has got his number here.
It really does. We're getting to the very low eco stage of this. There's not a lot of workers left on either side. Obviously, a Terran has a ton of energy off orbital, so if you want to just go mule, you can if you get a base. Just mule it out very quickly. Obviously, we'll need to scan away a couple of those positions, and that Liberator just being so annoying, right? Anything you can do to slow down economy and mining at this point is a big deal, because if there's one more big fight and your opponent can't rebuild off of it, that would be huge. We do kickstart a fight down here with a fungal and a parasitic bomb. So Barrett just backs away and says, yeah, fight through my Liberator zones, because he knows the coverage they provide is huge, but there's also a massive link counterattack that Reynor's utilizing to try and get a heads up in this position.
It really is. You know, I feel like this kind of time, this would have been great to get some Niduses up in that main base, getting some lurkers out and about, but I say that, and then Reynor's maybe thinking, I can't do that kind of stuff because there's so many Liberators out on the field, but now he's starting to get stuff done, doing 2 fights here. He's making it scrappy. Making it scrappy against this army, because this is not a fast-moving army, Wardy. Like, this requires all of your attention all the time, and that's a lot of red health libs, the tank, the Thors as well. Reynor's starting to make this a crazy game, but he doesn't have much fuel in the tank here. Like, he is down to 1 army. Like, he is barely mining at all, actually, at this point.
Yeah, no, it's very true. We are just trying to keep some base alive as well. This CC going to get repaired, perhaps, as Reynor is almost out of minerals. Mining is an issue. The top right base will get back to mining those, so that is going to be some access given. But I think one of the things Spirit needs to do is some of the libs were super low HP as well, so just getting those repaired back up. And Reynor does have a larger army now. For the first time in a while, I believe. It has been Spirit favored until now. And obviously, Spirit lost a lot of his production during that previous fight, so rebuilding is going to be even tougher for him. And Reynor just slowly making this happen with 20 Broodlords on the map against 5 Thors and now 20 Ghosts. Spirit actually going to take the bio top right, though. He knows this base is important. And actually, this is about 18 of Reynor's 27 remaining workers. And Spirit has rebuilt workers in comparison. He's just going to take the base. He can lift up and leave here with these bio units and find some value. It's been a while since we've seen drop action, but that is going to be kind of what this is, escaping away.
Yeah, and Spirit, it's kind of funny. He was producing 9 SCVs at a time, so he definitely re-established that little bit of eco control here. But oh, look at this! These Broodlords, they're kind of undefended here. Wardy gets a few sniped immediately here.
And these Thors. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is dire straits here. Reynor's at 150 supply, and it can't get that much higher for him. He is producing a lot of infestors again, which I think he absolutely needs in this scenario. But do you know what is lacking, which I think Spirit is assessed pretty nicely? Air. There's only, in fact, how many Corruptors are alive on the field, right? Zero. So these Vikings, they're going to reign supreme in the air, Wardy.
Yeah, they really are. They're going to be extremely tough to take down. I mean, you're basically relying on static defense, maybe even Queens, obviously Infestor / Viper spellcasting, but that's not necessarily what you want to prioritize your spellcasting onto, right? Reynor not mining because of that top right base killed off. And Special doesn't have a lot of mining to get on this left side, but he has had a bit of it. Taking what he can. That right side base still has a bit on it, but Reynor's going to deny that. So that right side might become a big factor. Oh, that's a scary potential drop.
These Thor drops, by the way, like, they have a lot of armor against these Broodlings, and if they do get the shot, like, running those Broodlords away from these Thors will start to get scary. This is a very nice idea by Spirit, because if you can get on top of that army, as opposed to being blocked by this little wall of Broodlings, yeah, it starts to get very problematic for you, and Reynor's scrounging for resources. Spirit has a lot of minerals available, but the gas is kind of sucking for him. But he's working off quite a lot of refineries here on the left side of the map, so that's nice for him at least.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, how much gas does he have? He has actually even gas to mine in his natural if he gets back there. So some bases mined out of gas, but I think he has plenty, really. It's just a case of getting it. And he is going to sit up on the right side with the planetary, so that is great. He's going to lose this base on the left, but honestly, I feel like the gas being mined out there means this base is not as important as it could have been. So maybe that is not so much of a big deal. More refineries coming up, Corruptors and a Lurker on the way out as well, and we do have ourselves this kind of standoff where we're waiting for the big fight, but of course it becomes difficult to justify attacking in as Reynor. I think he might have to soon, because Spirit's just getting the extra bit of mining going that's going to make it so difficult for Reynor. Who is, mining in the top right, but that is all of his mining.
Yeah, and you bring up that income tab, Wardy. Like, Spirit's massively out mining his opponent here, and on gas it's like almost tripled here. And he's got the mules as well. He's got the scans for days. These ghosts as well. They're just playing the war of attrition over here. So he's doing a good job. I think Spirit's played a phenomenal game here. This is not easy StarCraft to do. He's on 10 orbital commands, and still. Look how patient he's being. These ghosts just running forward, getting some snipes off here and there. Lovely EMP, the dodges.
just really trying to find little bits of damage, right? Just saying, you know, I only need a bit of time and I should be okay, and he's doing exactly that, just saying a little bit here, a little bit there, just try and find a big connection, but not rushing into anything. There's a bit of action on this right side about to break out. There's a couple lurkers setting up. There's a bit of bio here to maybe respond to them. For the scan, I think Spirit might go into this. He's in perhaps the worst split possible for that, but he does get through and he gets rid of one lurker. And that's the kind of point we're at, where like even a lurker is costly for Reynor, so these attempted harassments on the right are not necessarily ideal.
No, that was definitely the kind of where you think you're going to dive in front of your bro, like, bro, I'll save you. And it's like, mate, I'm not going to get shot. And then it's like, oh, dear. But yeah, that was great by him. Just a floating, scouting orbital command over here. I mean, any kind of harass with Liberators over there could be really nasty. Spirit still has some supply to utilize here. I would love it. Just a few extra Vikings, just because I feel that air superiority can absolutely be threatened. And right now, this fight over here is over an empty base. Like, Reynor doesn't have to defend here. He just feels that this choke is pretty good for him if Spirit wants to run at him, and then he just utilizes the nice fungals and stuff. Oh, lovely fungal on all those Thors and Medivacs. That was beautiful, but look at this. This is a lot of ghosts here, Wardy. They are all fungaled as well. Chain fungals. Did Spirit get carried away? I don't know.
Oh, I mean, the Thors are putting in some work, but those ghosts on the right side are really just getting obliterated. I have no idea what urged him to take this fight, like, so eagerly. I get that you want to push in. I get that you maybe feel like there's work to be done here, but I feel like this was just way over eager, and Reynor gets a massive fight in his favor. I mean, this was horrible for Spirit. He lost so much in comparison, and there was just no need. Like, he could just sit there and wait, and wow, he just basically evened up resources lost. Like, that was a ridiculously good fight for Reynor. Can't even stress that enough. That's game ending. Maybe.
That is game ending, and I mean, okay. Let's go back to ground zero, because he can rebuild. He's still got some gas income. Like, we're not wrong in that was one of the worst fights I've ever seen, but he felt he needed to do something, or maybe he felt that Reynor wouldn't be able to hold on. Maybe he also thought those Thors were going to get and fly in there way better than they did, but Reynor was very good about making sure that they didn't. He's now going to start stepping up to Blue Flame Hellbats. This is going to make those Broodlings way less effective. It's going to make those Lings way less effective as well. Like, +3 Hellbats, this is one thing that Mario figured out with his bio. They do one-shot the Lings, so that does start to remedy that issue. And your opponent isn't in a position where he can just sling Banelings at you non-stop. So Spirit will be able to remax, and I think with the addition of some of those Hellbats as well, his army will start to get a lot more scary against what he's dealing with here.
Yeah, needs to be careful. A couple units going in a couple different directions. The Broodlord count being kept high. We are rebuilding Thors as a respectful kind of nod to those Broodlords. They definitely help. Reynor realizing he can take out the bottom left, which is not a bad call. Love the production there and so on. Just take that position away from Spirit, basically. I mean, Spirit's done with that base. He really wants to focus up here, and he will try and mine this location. He is still trading better if he can genuinely mine out this top right base, and, you know, there's, what, 800 gas here? That's a big deal. This was Reynor's last bit of mining, pretty much, so if Spirit genuinely takes this over, then awesome. So, yeah, the previous fight might have been game-ending if Spirit wasn't actually in such a substantial lead. As it stands, he is going to get to rebuild and reset, which is kind of ridiculous when you consider how terrible that fight was for him. It just really puts it into kind of, you know, imagery how far ahead he probably was going into that fight.
Yeah, so there's a few things he can do here. I love the fact that he's making the Thors. He's really respecting the count here of this Broodlord mass. He also has a few Vikings. He has 12 now, so he really lent into that a little bit. But he needs more Liberators again. Like, if there's one thing that his weakness is, it's those fungals, man. They really kept Reynor more than in it. In fact, they won him that fight in that far left. So if he can kind of mitigate what those investors can actually achieve, he's trying to do it with just pure EMPs, which is a little bit risky, it has to be said. But if he can do it with the Liberators as well, just to put the nail in the coffin, then he's in good shape here. Those Vipers, by the way, they can get a lot of damage. Lovely split here by Spirit. He can even land that Viking just to stop the parasitic bomb.
Yeah, and just a lot of potential. I mean, just good split, at least to not allow the splash damage to happen. We have what is somewhat of a scouting command center through the middle of a map. We are going to line up a nuke on the bottom side of this, so that's going to try and get in position. Looks as though Reynor is trying to see it. The Overseer tries to siege up, but he doesn't have the range. So he knows where this nuke is. He's just trying to deal with it by getting a kill. And instead, it's just going to be the nuke landing, couple creep jimmers, nothing major. It's probably the last nuke we see. I don't think Spirit can afford and justify building more nukes at this stage. Obviously, this base is a problem to mine from. These refineries are not easy to take, and Spirit really would love to take them and just take as much of the gas as possible off this location.
Yeah, and Reynor, he's the one feeling, I don't want to say confident here, but he's the one kind of moving into a position where he's like, you know what? Let's start making magic happen. Takes out a Liberator with a Parasitic Bomb and does a little bit of damage to the other units as well here. That's a very healthy number of Broodlords. They can start one-shotting things. He can even start doing that. In fact, is that Broodling trick still in the game where you can spawn them all the time?
Yeah, where you like attack the Broodlings to keep on going. I don't even know at this point. It's been a while since we've really had these like super split map scenarios with like a lot of broods. Doesn't seem like Reynor feels the need to do anything like that though. He's just firing up a shot here and there, denying the one gas from coming online, just stopping Spirit from getting a bit of his money going. Spirit's going to be at a point where, you know, he needs to start spending just purely minerals instead of just always going for kind of minerals and gas production. The Vikings so much potential as well. Obviously, stay away from the fungals and the parasitic bombs. They have to dance, but if they do, you know, micro correctly, these Vikings can do so much in the skies. We land a little bit of an excessive EMP there. We're going for a Broodlord. We really want to try and pick those off. Reynor cannot afford to rebuild these units when he loses them, so every grab that Spirit gets is massive at this point.
It really is massive. And these Vikings, you can see this dance going on. By the way, that tower, worth its weight in gold here, just with a couple of lings. I'd be tempted to just put a Liberator on there just to make sure that nothing can capture it from your opponent, because that vision is absolutely mental for Reynor right now of what he's dealing with, and also all the flank positions and what have you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is a game and a half.
We're going to potentially lose this orbital. It's starting to burn down. We're spending some minerals to repair it. And Broodlings are going to say, you can't repair this. And obviously, friendly fire off tanks is a factor as well at this point. 43 minutes on Neo-Humanity. They've both come so far to get to this stage. That one Hellbat getting a lot of lane kills. Reynor does at least have minerals to rebuild. That's definitely not his issue. Minerals are something he can expend to an extent, right? Don't get me wrong, it's not like he has loads, but replacing a few lings doable for the moment, as he's just taking every scrap of mining that he can. And Spirit just, well, trying to hold on here. There's one very low HP Thor. Wouldn't mind seeing that even just getting repaired at this stage. We do land an EMP, but the fungal came down first. And this time I think that Thor is going to die as the Vikings land.
Where are these libs? Where are these libs, Wardy? I feel like just a couple of libs. Yeah, I feel that they would be so good at just making these infestors so they can't come forward here. Because right now, Spirit's getting bullied, man. And here they do come in. And they come from a bit of an angle. And finally, look, Reynor's like, oh, bugger. Like, I can't do whatever I want anymore. And rightly so. These Liberators are so good at zoning. Good play with the Vipers here. But that's what Spirit needed quite some time ago. And now we can get... Now you have that little dance going on of these units. But... Spirit's army's very bruised and battered because, yeah, he's been acting like a boxing bag for the last minute or so, and that resource is lost now. It is as close as it can get in this long a game. 74k loss against 73.5, and it's actually Reynor with a little advantage here on that number.
He kind of needs it though, right? Because Spirit has absolutely mined some of the bases that were kind of meant to be Reynor's at different points. That left side base, this top right side base. These are very, very important things to keep in mind. We scan out, we scan ahead, just seeing the Broodlord count so hard. I mean, I don't think Spirit's going to rush into a fight to kind of, you know, an aggressive fight at all. And by the way, we're out of gas, right? So Spirit has no more gas. These top right gases were still active. There is a gas that has gas available in the natural. I don't think Spirit's ever going to realize that. But at this stage, just taking a little bit of extra gas could mean the world of difference, because that's even the difference of being able to repair or not right now. And that's why these fights are now even more scary than ever before, because even repairing's being taken off the table. Reynor doesn't have gas, so he's going to build up queens just for a little bit of extra anti-air. Every fungal that does damage here, every parasitic bomb, every, you know, shot off a siege tank, like, none of this is getting healed back up any longer.
Are you feeling an Ukko versus Nina coming on here, Wardy?
A draw.
You know, we get an hour and 5 minutes in, it's a D, and it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Because I don't see either one of them being able to make the fight happen on the opponent's soil. But I do see these Hellions as starting to act like lings of his own, where they just run in from random angles and just start killing like the base and whatnot. But it's going to be tricky, man. It's going to be tricky. Like, their Spirit can only make mineral type units now, which, I mean... We're at a point in time where mineral type units aren't going to achieve anything.
That's what you think, man. He's building barracks.
He's building barracks, but I mean, what else can he do?
Yeah, not really anything else. I suppose the idea here, you also just build an engineering bay where I guess at this point maybe you just need turrets, right? Like maybe that's just what you invest your minerals into, so you can make it tougher for Reynor to attack into you. Reynor's gonna have these gases, and 600, 700 gas at this stage is you know, just value that Reynor didn't have before. We are gonna snipe an Overseer. Just gotta take those, right?
Actually, how many Vipers? By the way, 2 Vipers left on the field. Like, this comes down to a point where your pickoff unit is the Viper versus the Ghost kind of thing. And if you lose those Vipers, I feel that would be it. That would be literally it. And I do like Spirit's situation still a little bit more. Like, his army still, there's quite a lot of finesse to it, isn't there? Where he can make things happen. And now, when it comes down to such a small amount of units against this flock of ghosts, but I say that 21 ghosts, it is a big number that can also get depleted, I suppose, with one fungal.
It's very true. I mean, it just comes down to the fight. It comes down to every single spell cast. It is just going to be one big moment that decides everything here. You can see the Vikings are looking for a free pickoff, and they're going to get a Broodlord. It's also difficult to replace, as Reynor is trying to get the gas up at least, so you will have something of an option for replacing. I mean, these are the sort of moves you make, and now it is, you know, we mentioned this tower before, it is Spirit's watchtower, so he sees this army constantly, where Reynor does not. So actually, these Broodlord, you know, these Vikings getting a grab like that is a little bit easier than you might have thought. I do feel like with the minerals that Spirit has, maybe just run some Hellions here or there just to cause a bit of trouble and to cause a bit of a distraction could be a big deal. We're going to try and kill a Spore. Transfuse comes down. Of course, transfusions at this point are really important as well, because energy is the one resource that is never running out in this game.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, these fungals, these spellcasters, like the ghosts as well included, they are everything in this situation. Every kind of little victory they have, it's because of the spells that they're using. Spirit has to just be careful about what he does. I almost thought he was going to try and Neural Parasite and Medivac there just to bring it into him and just kill it, you know, or heal his army a little bit. That'd be kind of cool. But Spirit is starting to think about moving around these Hellbats now, which I like from him, because trying to deal with this with your mobile army, which is just pure Ling at this point for Reynor, that's actually going to be really hard for him.
Oh my god, these Lings are going to run into these Hellions, so that's a fast way to deplete some of this. He didn't have Neural Parasite, so that was not available to him until he just mined the gas off the top right base. So, you know, when Reynor was denying these refineries, it was so important because it's actually now enabling him to get Neural, which can be a big deal. We knock down this base on the left side, there's a handful of minerals left there. I mean, again, it just doesn't feel like necessary minerals are what it comes down to. We're making Banelings at this stage, which I find... I mean, I guess you need something to deal with the Marines and the Hellions to some extent, so I get it. We kill off a Queen here, we're going to get the final Lurker. No! That nerf to the Ghost where they do not snipe, even with vision, actually comes into play right there. Saves the Lurker.
I can't believe how big these armies are, man. 9 drones versus 15 SCVs. I don't even know if there's necessarily enough mineral patches on the map for these 15 SCVs to mine. But these armies are damn scary. And how many orbitals on the map? 8 are still alive. You know, that's only because one of them turned into a scouting orbital at some point and started navigating the map. But even this army that's going through here, I think this can go from base to really pry open Reynor. And all the tech is obviously on the right side for him. But yeah, Reynor is just going to slowly see his base, his creep whittled away, I feel.
And that maybe gives you a bit more of an option as Spirit. You gotta be careful while doing this. There's a new Infestor on the way, by the way. Again, I cannot stress enough how important this gas was, but that's it. The gas is gone. We are officially at a 0 gas game, apart from the Natural of Spirit, which has 500. He will never look at that. I don't think he's ever going to think about it. So that's not going to matter. But this is it. That's the last Infestor. We really are at the stage now where every unit you see die is irreplaceable. There's only 2 Overseers, by the way, as well. Could also be important.
Like the gas units for Reynor are so damn important. I mean, they're important for both, you're absolutely right, but single spellcaster that dies, any single unit, that's it. That is absolutely it. And now we've got both of them staring each other down, trying to control this watchtower. A group of ghosts at the top there. That could be crucial. One of the Vipers.
What a catch.
One left.
What a catch. It's actually so important. Every single one of these spellcasters. We nearly lose an Infestor to these Liberators. As we do see the Broodlords looking to push forward again, but you've got to be careful. The Watchtower controlled by Reynor. We've talked about the importance of this vision so much, and it is currently Reynor's. A single Marauder tries to take down a Spore top right. I mean, taking down Spores gives access points for the Ghosts, and if he can take down this Spore... I feel
like that Viper. Was that the last Viper?
Oh,
the last Viper got shot. Oh. Yeah. So no more parasitic bombs here. No more grabbing these units. That's it for Reynor. Now, Now that opens up things for Spirit so damn much. He doesn't have to worry about anything getting abducted, and now I think he can start to feel a lot more confident. Now, he doesn't know what we know, but he can damn well kind of suspect that something is feeling a bit better here. That Viking count, he's still got a decent number as well, 9 alive, but he can't repair them. If one fungal happens, that's it.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I think initially Spirit was trying to get rid of the Spore top right so that he could sneak ghosts around this right side and maybe be able to grab a couple of snipes, because that's one position now. Reynor doesn't have just free vision in. The Marauders do get out of there. We have a couple of ghosts looking for the snipes in the lurker. It gets away, low HP, but we do have transfusions for days, so as long as it doesn't die, it's healable for the moment.
It certainly is. They are both working so hard for this, man. Like, there is no lower bracket anymore. These ghosts, look at that. How many Overseers are still alive, actually, Wardy?
2. Only 2. Yeah, that's why I think this spawn on the top side was super important to get rid of, because it really does provide an opening that we didn't have before. An EMP going down, obviously that is a duel we continue to watch. It's 36 Lings on the way up. Oh, the Overseers, number 2 goes down. No, it just survives again. Wow, everything matters so much, man. It's ridiculous. And only 8 Vikings left. We had 9 before, so 1 died. Oh my god.
Look how they're both. This is turning into a Warcraft 3 game at this point. Like, every unit micro your ass off. Reynor officially can't make a single unit anymore, by the way. 22 minerals, 20 gas available. And here, like, he's fighting so much. Just put a Liberator on that tower. That will help so much. Like, he's got all these rings there available. I know he keeps sniping and stuff. I think Spirit's handling himself very well, but Reynor, he's in a world of trouble, man. Like, an absolute world of trouble.
Cannot do anything but echo your opinion there, because we have just got ourselves dropping EMP. Liberator's going to get a queen. I mean, everything matters. We do have the Vikings, need to be cautious. You're so right, by the way, if we just replace a Lib, like he's doing all these snipes and things as we try to do something over on the upper side. Yeah,
it could be a bait move as well. Like, he wants him to keep going there so he can keep sniping him, whereas if a Liberator was just there, you wouldn't even bother. But yeah, I feel that Spirit, he's got Reynor where he wants him, you know. Spirit, he's been practicing every game of his life just like this to get here and really showcase what he's truly made of when it gets to a game like this. Reynor's vision, like that creep spread, it's been absolutely decimated this game. And I mean, Spirit has to take it slowly. He can't do what he did on that left side of the map a good 30 minutes ago at this point, where he just kind of dives in with all those Thors and just gets fungled to oblivion. But I feel that the way that he's approaching this game now, the patience of him, 12 Hellbats on the field, 17 Broodlords still available, but no Vipers left to speak of. This... what a sad game for Reynor. This is one of those moments where you see the players on the webcam usually, and you see them kind of like, you know, their hair. They always stroke their hair. I notice more than anybody because I'm bald. But they run their fingers through their hair through sheer frustration. And I feel that that's what Reynor's probably doing at this point in time.
This is a, yeah, I mean, opportunity for Spirit to go up 2-1 in the quarterfinals, a chance to move into the semis, his best result ever when it comes to the European regionals. On the doorstep. It's within reach. If he can win this game, he's going to have 2 shots at closing out the series. A draining game, too, and such a mental victory as well. If you're the one that wins this super long game, that's got to feel amazing compared to the guy that just worked for an hour to be no better off in the series.
No, absolutely. And, I mean, the games that Spirit's winning, like this one, especially, this was really a true game of StarCraft, you know, like this wasn't the normal, hey, I'm going to outgreed you and outdo all this kind of stuff. This,
Yo, he's going to EMP all the Infestors. He's going to get all the Infestors. Oh, he's going to snipe them. That works as well. We can fungal to stop. Well, okay, 2 Infestors for 2 Ghosts. I think I like that for Spirit because he's got a lot more Ghost. 3? Okay.
He got 3 of the 7, so 3 Infestor for 1 Ghost here, and just kind of the moral victory. Like, this is... Spirit's making this look... good. Like, he is. Like, every kind of win option that I think of that's available for Reynor, it involves Spirit messing up at this point and just getting over eager. If Spirit doesn't do that, if he just kind of inches forward a little bit closer, because he's still got a lot of minerals to utilize here, Wardy, if things do get rough afterwards. Oh, I love it. What can I do?
I mean, he's doing the right thing, though, right? He's just playing it slow. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like, what was Spirit meant to do when Reynor built 80 Mutalisks this game? Reynor literally played in a way that said, hey, don't do anything. Like, sit back and defend, because if you move out, you're going to die.
Yeah, this is, you can feel the salt. You can feel the salt, man. And that hair, you know, that's been rummaged through a few times at this point. And now the salt is coming over the keyboard. I mean, it's when this means so much to these players, you know, you kind of expect that kind of stuff to be going through your mind. But right now, yeah, Reynor, he's just, it's those movies where you're stranded in the desert. You know the vultures are going to eventually eat you, and you're just waiting for it to happen. And it's such a depressing feeling. And Spirit, he's going about it slower than normal, I must admit, but he's moving his way up. You see him approaching the right side of the map here. I think he's kind of working out where he wants to go, because his ghost right now, he's just looking for moments where there isn't a spore crawler, because there's only 4 left on the map. That's a lot of Hellions.
It is a lot of Hellions. It's obviously one of these moments as well where it's just like, Spirit has to pick the right fight now. You know, he can't just dive into haphazardly, he can't let the fungals be ridiculous. He's been looking for the little bits and pieces, the little catches when he can. But now Reynor's really like doubled down on spores on either side of this army, right? He's really making sure there is no entry point. The Spirit's going to siege up these 2 tanks here. I mean, it's kind of a brave play because obviously they can be shot down by Broodlords. He's just going to push the spore back a little bit. Man, it's still such a tense situation because you can see how it can go wrong for Spirit. I know like this army should win. It should be the better army, but he's even going to try and sneak around the back again. But Reynor thought of that. He's even going to scan ahead because every unit matters. And he's got the ability to scan ahead, so why the heck shouldn't you? As the Viking Libera is going to back it up too. We're about to hit an hour here in this game 3.
You know, all the posturing now, though. I feel that Spirit can start to creep ahead a little bit, but you know, this is how I know I'm a real bastard, Wardy. If I knew my opponent was kind of molding a little bit, you know, I'd also make them work for it a little bit. You know, just kind of savor the moment a little. So you see your opponent just opening up avenues, getting everything that he has. It's just, yeah, I mean, time is on your side. You do see your opponent mining a few minerals long distance from the middle of the map, but it's like you don't really care about them adding more minerals at this point. Yeah, this is just one. We're observers. We just got to wait and see what happens between them, because it's really down to Spirit making a move, because Reynor can't make a move.
Gets one of the 2 snipes needed to kill this lurker. The one lurker that might make a difference, right? A couple of spine shots during a fight. You never know. So he's being kind of quite persistent about trying to grab that. The Vikings trying to find the left-hand side, but a Spore Crawler relocates. I mean, it is just a case of waiting and waiting until you can make that play. You can make that move. You can see Reynor's re-establishing some creep spread as well. And actually has a lot of minerals on this forward base, so he will slowly add on a few more queens. Not that they're really going to make the difference. I feel like queen count is not going to be the deciding factor in this fight. So, yeah, you got to do what you got to do, and for the moment, Spirit just takes down some rocks, opens up the map, and again, just seeing what he can do.
I like that we, you know, between regions, we're like, you know what, we got to wait an hour, just because, you know. Yeah. And it's like, hold on, Spirit's waiting on the other side. We should have reassessed the situation. Oh, that's a Big Daddy Thor crawling rather far. You know, it's so nice when you don't have to play against Vipers, man. Like, Spirit can just kind of wander ahead and just be totally fine. Oh, that Ling Bane has to be careful, because this amount of Hellions, they can just start running rampant. He can even kind of run up to the main if he wants. I mean, it doesn't have to at any point, but that would definitely make some of this army have to move back to deal with those Hellions.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about it in terms of, wow, I don't think I've ever seen those things killed.
Wait, what was it?
There's like there's rocks behind this base.
Oh!
I mean, I've probably seen them killed, but I've never noticed them killed. I didn't even know they were there.
Yeah, no, me too. I thought he was killing his own drones, actually. I was like, there's still a few minerals.
He's made this long-distance mining more efficient.
It works. Solid. Yeah. I like it.
Very cool. I mean, there's changeling.
In fact, I'm going to watch from Spirit's vision a little bit, just to see what he's up to. All right. So he's just playing the ghost minigame at this point of just kind of running around and sniping things. I don't know why. My camera got really zoomed when I looked at his vision.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what's my camera done?
It's really zoomed?
I'm stuck!
Try go to player's vision again. It should reset it. Or just a different ob's vision.
Nice. I'm stuck, man.
You're stuck?
This is it for me. Yeah, I'm proper zoomed in, Wardy.
I'm going to try find you.
The main thing I can see now is the chat, which I'm luckily zoomed in on. What's the plan? I'm winning it. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Alright,
he's not
back,
wrong. But I think he is
No,
winning
he's not
it.
wrong.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely winning it. He's just, I mean, he's the one that's got to play it slowly. Reynor's just going to sit here. Like, that's all Reynor can do. Reynor can't make plays, but Spirit can. Slowly but surely, edge around and make Reynor make a mistake here, a mistake there. I mean, that's how Reynor potentially wins too, right? But until, Spirit makes a lot of mistakes, there's no reason for him to think that he's in any sort of losing position.
This is one of those moments where Reynor's like, damn, why did I handle that fight so damn well on the left side earlier in the game? Because maybe he could have done that kind of thing now when it really, really, really mattered, you know? But yeah, I mean, it's a roughie. It's a toughie for him because he's getting picked off little bit by little bit. Granted, it is the slowest death I've actually ever seen in my life, I think. And you know, I've lived through a lot of eras, Wardy. I'm old, but this right now, I'm so surprised that he's not starting to kind of try to suffocate with the Liberators just a little bit, even just to etch forward a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, we're really just taking this like as slowly as we can. I mean, I just said it before, I'll say it again. It's the right way to do it. Like diving in, we've seen how that can go very badly. A couple good fungals can absolutely twist a fight massively in one player's favor. So he's right, just move forward, get a couple shots off, threaten the potential snipe. So you can see the idea. He was thinking about maybe trying to get the Overseer, I think. But can he sit there long enough to get the snipes off? Reynor's ready to dive on those ghosts. That's what the spore positioning has allowed Reynor to do. It's allowed him to kind of set up like this and just to see any movement forward from any of these units that previously were getting pickoffs. The Vikings are going to tank a spore shot to get a kill on something. They're going to think about it.
I don't think it's worth it.
No.
Like when you see those infestors, and it's like,
The only angle that might be good would be from the middle of the map, but that's the slow zone, so that's also not a good idea.
Yeah, honestly, I think for Spirit, if he actually wanted to try and win this, just go round to the bottom area. It's a lot more open for you. You've done a good job of clearing out most of the creep over there as well. And you're not truly funneled in. You've got a few ramps to work with. Like, yeah, at the south of your screen here, just quite a bit to look at. But, you know, he's going about it. He's trying to pick him off from both sides. If he kills that Overseer, that could be kind of cool. I know he's obviously still got the spores to work with, but yeah, we're in a game here, Wardy. We're in a game here, you know. Kevin's probably sat there on the sidelines being like,
this guy,
you know, just having a little giggle.
Yeah, this guy, he's only casting 4 matches today. We're both casting 5, and we're casting this as well. Like, this is a match in itself.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Cheeky,
I mean,
cheeky guy. Hey, like these Overlords, by the way. Joining in.
The Overlords?
Yeah, just like
just
tanking, potentially, you know? Make it as good a chance as possible to survive.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't even notice them, actually.
Yeah, it's just a blob of Zerg.
Yeah, you can almost put them on patrol a little bit ahead, I guess. Oh, what did he get there? Was that a brood?
I think so. No,
I
zoomed in on the Zerg army. Didn't think anything was happening.
Okay, scale of 1 to 10 right now. How mad do you think Reynor is?
Oh my, extremely. Now he's really mad because now he's making mistakes.
Yeah, we'll say 1 to Moldnor right now.
The highest, I think.
Yeah, I mean...
Actually, maybe earlier. I think at this point, maybe you've even started calming down already. Helling. Couple creep tumors.
It's almost getting to a point, if I'm Reynor, that I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Like, clean up this game, then I win the next 2. You know, like, it's starting to get to that kind of feel. Oh, my goodness.
It's a queen. Oh, the transfuse wasn't enough.
He's 10. He's Moldnor. 105. All right. We're getting to the Uko Nina situation, but Spirit's obviously not going to call it.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Spirit is not going to call it. Another scan comes down. Obviously, we just got constant stream of scans. Another queen! Okay. like Reynor was doing such a good job against this before. Now I feel like he's... You can see he's slipping because in the last minute, he's taken more damage than in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. And I mean, that's it's still only been 3 queens in the last 5 minutes, but it's still more damage than he's taken. Truly a tragic game. Like I know that there's these memes about Terrans being crybabies and Puros players being baboons and Zerg players being emos, but right now the way that Reynor's living this game, it is truly like masochistic, you know, like he's in this just to die, basically, and yeah, I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does at this point.
Nope, he's still got that Ling Bane poised on the top side, just holding back so the Hellions can't get a free shot on it. As Reynor kind of ventures a bit further forward than he's done in a while. It's funny that these Vikings have been on this many hit points for like the last 20 minutes or something, because they've just had nothing else to do. There's no way to heal or repair.
Yeah. You know, it's also kind of crazy. I don't think I've seen a single fungal over the last few minutes.
Yeah.
Like, maybe over the last 10, which is his only kind of grab right now, but I guess he has to be so careful about them, A, getting sniped, and B, getting EMP'd.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, you got to be super careful. We saw already when he was 7 infested, he lost a 3 to the flank, and obviously he's better set up against the flank now, but if you get a fungal, it doesn't matter unless you capitalize on it. Unless, I guess, on the Vikings or so, maybe. But if it's on the Ghost and the Ghost get away, there's medevacs to heal him and everything. And at this point, if you trade 1 for 1 Ghost to Infested, that's also amazing for Spirit, because without fungals in the fight, that would be obviously incredible for him to potentially end the game eventually. Just kill off our own missile turret there, I think. It was a misclick.
I mean, it would definitely be a misclick if it did die, because obviously no reason to do that at this point. These Hellions are starting to do what we talked about them possibly doing maybe 20 minutes ago, starting to clean up the area. These Ghosts still prodding in from either side. I see a Queen body over there.
Oh yeah, another one. Eventually gonna get a Spore Crawler down there. Oh, we catch the Ghost this time.
He's getting some Ghosts, Wardy. He's getting some Ghosts.
He gets one of them.
Right.
Okay. He did lose the Spore in the top left, though, which is maybe an opening for some Ghosts to flank around if Reynor didn't notice that and he doesn't have the money to replace it. This is an issue because he actually only has 4 Spores. So he can't cover every single entry point anymore, and that might be the opening that, you know, we actually want here out of Spirit.
He can actually still mine those minerals long distance and get a few more spores if he wanted to.
Yeah.
I do wonder why he's not doing that, actually. It's almost like a...
I wonder if it's to stop this draw timer, potentially. If he feels like he needs to just mine money at some point to stop the draw timer. I don't know.
You could be onto something. You could be onto something.
Oh, why
These little sneaky Ghosts.
That's not the direction I was talking about, man.
Oh.
Yep, that ain't the EMP either.
Yeah, that was a warning EMP, man. Like, come here, I'll have you. But yeah, these Hellions looking to potentially threaten at this point. They're tenacious, man. They're tenacious, these youngsters here. I'd have been out of here an hour ago, but
yeah.
Mainly because I'd have lost to either one of them. But
it's a long game to play, man. You know, I really feel like though Spirit did the right thing in terms of getting the Spore upper left, and then he's just not really tried to utilize that since. I mean, he scans it, he sees it. This was the opening he's been looking for earlier with Ghost, so like I say, just surprised not to see him trying to make a play around that as these Hellions need to be careful. Gonna lose a couple. The Brutalians actually really get out this time. So a couple Hellions go down.
Spirit, like, you're totally right, Wardy. That opening over there, Spirit sees it, but what's far more appealing to him is to run at this army with his Hellions, you know? Because Broodlords, count Hellions, poof, you know? Absolutely not. I mean, they absolutely are. One Lurker also is the only thing in the mix here. Spirit obviously got full vision of this army with the constant array of scans that you can just kind of throw out. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I mean, Spirit with his 2 SCVs, he could still mine out that gas on his natural. Oh. Another Queen bites the dust. My goodness.
That was close, though. That really felt like a closer infest than we could have been good, as we do get some EMPs off. Fungal misses.
It's kind of funny that he's... I like what he's doing with these Ghosts, cycling them in 2 at a time, or 3 at a time, or whatever. Because it is actually very annoying to play against. But Reynor, yeah, he's just suffering in the slow defeat here. And these Hellions... Oh, they're running to the main. There's actually no way out of there. Yeah, I think he can just chase this. Oh, he slowed himself down like that. Okay, I guess he will force the main army back here. And that does something, I suppose. We'll take out a lot of these Lings, but... Interesting, interesting.
I mean, he's got to get rid of these Lings before the Broodlords catch up and make this a wasted opportunity, as we are going to get a lot of the Banes, so they will be dying. I mean, Spirit can obviously rebuild off this.
Yeah, he scanned the middle now. Okay, now he's going to go. I mean, supply-wise, Spirit can remake, and he killed a lot of those Lings and Banelings, which cannot be remaxed. And now, Reynor's starting to feel a whole lot more claustrophobic.
Well, you know what it is as well? Now Spirit could maybe send his 2 SCVs to long-distance mine these minerals and get some extra mineral income himself.
Oh, dude, just plant your orbital next to it. You know, you got plenty to burn, haven't you?
Meal.
And then, okay, that'd be such a move, and just like, yeah, it's mine now. Like, even though it's, you know, how many minerals are here? I think it's quite
like 1,000. Yeah, it's like 1,000, 1,800.
Yeah, it's a good chunk actually. That's a good 18 or so Hellions.
That's the lurker, by the way.
Man,
Lurker's gone.
Okay, that's a lot less ground AoE to speak of. Man,
this is actually really good for Spirit because he's actually so much more mobile around here. Like, there's less directions in on the ground, but you're right, because Reynor's more claustrophobic, it definitely feels like there might actually be an extra way to kind of reach across as Spirit that he didn't have before. Ghosts again, looking to see what they can do. Going to land a snipe on the Queen. You can see it's just more difficult for Reynor to be prepared against these ghosts and stuff, so... Yeah,
way more, yeah. And I mean, the amount of, like this, he has to be careful about the back sneak entrance as well here. And I mean, this is just... It's very straightforward for where Spirit wants to work. Like, if he gets the Liberators across this little choke where the 3 spores are currently sat, that's it. That's it. Like, you're trapped in there.
There's only 2 fungals right now.
Oh.
That's a big deal.
Brutal.
Tanks from afar. We're going to have to scan to get these tanks to shoot. But if the Broodlords move forward, then the Vikings jump on them as well. So, clearly know that's a factor. We do get a ghost kill.
That's like the first trade in the last... That's like the first trade in the last 30 minutes that was actually pretty decent for Reynor.
Yeah.
And it was 1 ghost.
Yeah, 1 ghost. That's all you get. Well, you mentioned these libs getting into this position. That is rough.
All right. I want some bets in chat. Do you think Reynor's going to survive for 15 minutes or 20? Or less?
2. Please.
Over under.
115 we're going to end. Hey, we get Corruptor kill. The fungal does not capital. Oh, second fungal. That's a lot of investment to get this ghost. I know it's just energy, but the infestors were kind of low energy, kind of leading into this, so there's not as many fungals as we've had before. I tell you what.
I want it.
I was going to say, there's actually, like, on the left side, as we hit a good EMP. Oh, an infestor dies! A second infestor dies! Massive.
That's actually, that's huge. I don't know if, I think he might have 1 fungal left in this mix.
Yeah, it's hard to see exactly what is. Oh, the ghost! Oh my god. they misplayed. Some mistakes as we go on.
Another good trade for Reynor in the past 30 minutes. He's in this.
I was going to say, I really felt as though there was maybe opportunity for the Vikings to come around the left side now without it being kind of protected by spores and stuff. So maybe we see some more action from the Vikings, but of course it's dangerous. They are the only Vikings you have. The spores are unburrowed though, so I think the Vikings might take an opportunity. And of course, again, less fungals than ever before. We mentioned, you know, trading out those infestors are generally going to be good for Spirit in any which way. And now he lost, since he lost about 5 ghosts to kill 2 infestors. Oh, we're going to go! The spores are going to tank a little bit. We're going to make a move forward. Here we go. EMPs should be a big deal here. The Vikings are going to launch forward. The biostem in from the left side. There is not a single fungal in sight. And the Broodlords are very unlikely to make this work. This is what we waited the last half an hour for. And it is going to be, I believe, Spirit, who's got enough anti-air to keep going towards those Broodlords. Congrats and GG. Spirit gets a 2-1 lead in this best of 5.
You know what I want now? I want Spirit to say 3 minutes, please. I want him to do it so badly, Wardy, because Reynor, he is undoubtedly not happy with that. You know, undoubtedly not happy. Oh, I want it so bad.
Yeah, that was man. I said 115, 114, 56.
Hey, you're an oracle.
I just felt it, man. I feel like Reynor was looking at the clock. He's like, no, we can't go past this point. I mean, he was just losing, right? Like, he's been losing for the last half hour. I think there's a point where you're just hurting yourself by staying in there, so... Yeah, rip.
Oh, the referee said it. If players wish for a break, we can give up to 5 minutes. I want it so bad, Wardy. I want it so bad.
Oh, yes,
At least it wasn't a draw. At least it wasn't a draw.
No, at least we don't have to go again.
He said it! He said, sorry, I need a break, ...
Okay, Reynor wants 5 as well. I'll tell you what, we will also go to the break screen, come back, and we will reassess this best of 5 when we return, just after this.
Oh.
ESL StarCraft 2 Masters is brought to you in part by Monster Energy and U.S. Air Force.
We are back as Spirit leads 2-1 in the quarterfinals against Reynor. 1 hour and 15 minutes for Game 3. And I did, about an hour and a half ago, mention the kind of map board we had coming up then. And it is Dragon Skills next. Typically a great Terran map. And Babylon to round out the series as well. So now we get into more aggressive Terran maps. That might not be where Spirit excels usually, but he was, believe it or not, kind of excelling aggressively in Game 1, remember. And even in Game 2 at the start of the game. So definitely some potential. If this was ever a time for Spirit to beat Reynor to move into top 4, I would say this is the setup to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Scales along with, is it Royal Blood, pretty damn good Terran maps, or at least enjoyable to play. And I think for Spirit style as well, after winning a game like that, like if you come out the victor as opposed to the loser in a situation like that, and we have to remember how long it went on for as well, yeah, it's... Reynor's definitely molding. You know, we saw it in the chat during the game. In the chat after the game, it was happening as well. He was not a happy chappy whatsoever. But it's also just because it means a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Like for him, winning the European regionals, it means a lot for these guys. Because Clem, even though he hasn't done the best in the international events, he's done damn well on the European events. And Reynor's the kind of guy, he don't like losing. None of these guys like losing, but Reynor is legitimately one of the best. And he absolutely belongs in this tournament. But right now, Spirit's giving him a real rough going.
He absolutely is in the top left. Down a map. Hopefully refocused and ready to go again after that previous map during the break that they took. It is Reynor, our Blue Zerg.
And spawning over in the bottom right-hand side as our Red Terran, it is Spirit. 2-1 up against Reynor, you know, and we said that this match was going to be maybe quite a bit closer than people thought preemptively. Yes. And that's not because Reynor's somehow in some slump or anything like that. It's just that Spirit's... we hyped him up for several years, Wardy. Several years. And he's finally got to where we all thought he could be. A real contender in Europe. Like, you've got Clem sitting as the best Terran. We had Gabe being very much so, especially with that kind of Katowice run. The second best Terran in Europe. Maybe even the first, you know, because he did well on the international stage. But Spirit, he started climbing unbelievably as well, too. And here he's going to start things off with a CC first.
Yes, he is CC first on a shorter map. Reynor has opened Pool first, but Pool first is not great against the CC first because you obviously hit at a time where the CC is basically finished with the Lings, so you can't really punish too heavily. So yeah, generally, we like this for Spirit unless he severely messes up and lets the Lings do way more than they should, but at the very least the CC will be done, morph into an orbital, and you can't stop that as Reynor.
No, you can't. It's kind of funny how things have gone in TVZ, because initially we thought, like, oh, CC first, he's against a Pool first. You thought, oh, it's really bad for the CC first, but as things have come along and worked their way around, I remember the first time I ever watched MKP. Yes, massive throwback, I know. Hold off like the Pool first with the CC first, and it turned out it was way better against it, and I was like, what the hell? It took somebody really good showing me. Spirit does get a full on scout here, doesn't get to see like a Roach Warren going down or anything like that, which can often be the go-to. But as you can see, the Spirit, he's not worried at all. He's even utilizing a factory here because you don't want to make a second depot with this build because the second CC works as your supply, so just gets to utilize the build layout very, very nicely for himself. Only suffering 1 SCV loss, but it doesn't actually slow down his economy whatsoever. So when it comes to builds going up against one another, they're both pretty okay with what they got achieved. In fact, lifting it up like this is interesting.
He's terrified of the roaches, I think. Like, absolutely terrified.
I think also he's like, I really want to make SCVs, but if I make them on that low ground, it kind of sucks for me. I wonder what he's going to follow this up with, because mineral-wise, he's absolutely lined up to have a third CC, but he did go for quite a quick second gas with this. I like what he's done here, that he's like, you know what, let's just whip out the Marines out of the reactor, because he is threatening me. And if you get stuck in that position where you want to lift it, and then it can go from bad to worse very quickly.
Yep, no, absolutely, as we see the feelings just retreating back home, and CC gets down to the low ground, Hellions come up. So it was a delay from Reynor in the end, just Spirit kind of doing more damage to himself, just being overly cautious in a way. But yeah, I mean, he gets away with it all, and we are going to get to the next point of this, which is going to be a Viking. So, looking to deny some vision of the Overlord, and we'll see if there's anything super fun beyond this. It looks as though he potentially just starts Stim, though, and it's a very casual kind of opener, not too harassment-focused at all, and we'll see what Spirit can build into from this point. He has been terrifying on this map with some of his 3-base pushes.
Oh.
As it is a more aggressive one.
Yeah. This build really makes me think about, and I've brought this up before on the cast, so I do apologize, but when Reynor went to GSL Korea to really kind of give it his all, and I really thought, wow. And I remember being there at a LAN, and we were sat with Bunny and Hero, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to come to GSL. They both instantly went, no, because they didn't want to play against him, you know. But then it was Bunny playing him in the group stage, and he beat him with this kind of build, CC first into a 2-base all-in. And if Reynor doesn't spot this out, this could be haunting him. And yet again, and seeing this kind of setup and not being able to get a true scout of what's going on, unless he's he is a way better player than me, let's be real. But if he can somehow sense what's going on, because so far, nothing is really, you know, showcasing that this is super weird. But with this scout, maybe. I mean, that's it's a tough one to really know what you're up against.
Yeah, no, Spirit's not, leaving anything kind of to be revealed, right? A couple of Hellions in the middle, the Hellions defending at home, the Vikings clearing up vision as well. There is just no way of seeing this, and you can see how blind Reynor is. He's starting up Spore Crawlers. He's afraid there's like a Banshee follow potential, or at least a Liberator. And these are all things that are not going to help him when it comes to this 5-rack striking onto the other side of the map. So, yeah, I mean, as Spirit powers on up, all 5 of his racks getting reactors, apart from the one that's going to build Combat Shield in a second, is going to be extremely powerful extremely soon.
I just saw another Ling run in and die to the Hellions, not even getting up to the ramp, so he has no idea what lies beyond. He saw the 2 Hellions in the middle, saw the 3 Hellions at home. You see how big scouting is for him. Those units on the right side of the map, they want one thing, which is scouting information. And Spirit, he's cleaning up this path, Lordy, where he eventually wants to go with this 2-base attack, and it's going to be a scary attack. And you can see that he wants to clear a path for his units, and Reynor right now, yeah, he is none the wiser, but his drone count's really damn good. He's up to 8 queens as well. Selling up 2 Evo chambers. I feel that he still thinks it's a normal game, but he has stopped worker production at a really damn good time, and he is kind of respecting what's going on, actually.
Yep, no, he is making the units that he needs to have right here. And we are going to see Spirit making a move out, so it is time for him to begin going. The Viking catches the Ling on the right side this time. We still have the Viking actually here. He's going to get one more Ling kill. The other Ling gets past. He's not going to see any of the units that have moved out, though. So still unaware of that, as there is going to be a +1 upgrade advantage here as well. And Spirit, he did clean up that high ground, but he's also now pushing up this right side. The tanks are going to go very far forward. Can he get the Banelings? Oh my goodness, what a crazy fight. He is going to catch these Banes in the top right. What an interesting start. Ooh.
I feel that sieging up that first tank, the one in front, I think he could have done a hot pickup there and got away with it. But, you know, getting all those Banelings called out, that was huge. A few creature humors still alive here on top of the army of Spirit. And he's not able to get the real clincher there that he wanted. But it's just the start of this push, isn't it?
Yeah, no, we're obviously continuing through this until the game is done. There's a single Ling still spotting for a third, but he's not seen it. Reynor has not made a drone in a long time, definitely realizing a little bit of what is going on here. Can he keep on trading? He will be down the upgrade this entire time, but at least he now has Baneling speed. That should help. And he is poised with a few units on the left, and it's going to catch some reinforcements, including a siege tank here. That tank has no chance of getting away. That's going to be Spirit's not to kind of go forward and take a bit of a better position himself, while those other units do not have the chance to flank. And here we go. We're going to start committing through. This is really about getting rid of these Banelings. He target fires a lot of them so far, but now we're getting on top of these tanks. And that is where Spirit just gets pushed back.
I really feel that Spirit losing that first tank was so monumental. And like normally when these pushes happen, you're quick, you're in there, you know, you're at the bottom of the natural, not just on the outskirts kind of thing where he was. Reynor's handled this beautifully. He was as greedy as you could get while still being respectful. And now he's dealt with the first stage of the push, and Spirit, he's a bit here, there, and everywhere. Nice little pickup by him to remedy the situation a little bit, but Reynor, he's cruising, man. Getting up to 1-1, getting Burrow on the way. Done nothing but creep spread, produce units as well, and the whole time he's been mining a lot more than his opponent.
Yeah, no, obviously at this stage as Spirit, you don't really have much of a choice as to what you do, and you're just going to go again, but it's such a momentum-based build, and that momentum has just never been there for him, so Now Reynor is looking, like you see, he's cruising, and it really is just because this build is not really meant to have a bad start. And if it has a bad start, it doesn't look pretty after. The army supplies are still similar. It really feels like Reynor can do a bit of whatever he wants. He's about to kick into his own 1-1 upgrades. Burrow will be in play as well, which could help him take some of these fights. There is still going to be this awkward position around these little bridges that Spirit is setting up to kind of utilize, as he is losing reinforcements to the counterattack as well. So it really is becoming do or die more than ever for Spirit on this top right side.
Quite a few queens are getting shredded here, and I mean, this spread from Spirit is still, you have to respect it, but soon, after all this, Spirit's actually going to be an upgrade deficit. That is a large flank coming in, but maybe a little bit mistimed here from Reynor. A few Banelings trying to get the connections. That tank, they're still riding strong here, but the Banelings, they're unopposed here. I think there's a lot of units still in these medevacs, man, which, I mean, there's still a lot of Zerg on the field, but Spirit handled that pretty damn well. It's got to be said, those supplies are a lot closer than they were previously.
He did a fantastic job of just trying to deal with this, and he really made sure to target fire Banes with anything and everything throughout. The tanks were constantly turning onto more Banelings. The Marines are trying to grab them whenever possible. You're right, it was absolutely the best fight Spirit could have taken. I think better than I ever expected him to take. A little Baneling burrow there. He's going to miss it with the scan. Reynor's going to wait. He thinks there's bigger and better moments to come. And he may not be wrong, honestly, because there is a bigger clump of Marines just sitting behind this. And this might be it right now. Boom! And all of a sudden, Spirit loses a whole chunk of stuff to help Reynor take the jump on this fight.
These tank positionings here, man, getting in these little nooks and stuff has been so damn good for him, but there's just too much Reynor. And this push, he did a really good job this game. These Liberators are here, there, and everywhere. One of them totally on siege, and these Queens, even off creep, they're doing damn good. 4 Queens at a time. Reynor starting off his +2 carapace as well. Reynor's done it. He's held on. And at this point, I don't think there's a comeback from this position from Spirit.
No, I don't think so either, as Lingbane down the right side going to get turned away, but Spirit just does not have enough. It was honestly impressive that he even made it considerable, that he could have maybe kept on going beforehand. But now it really doesn't look too pretty, as we see our Marines will get taken down by a couple of Banes again, and as we move on to creep, it's just going to be a GG, and Reynor is going to tie us up and take us the distance.
Nicely done by Spirit, nicely done, you know, or rather nicely done by Reynor, rather. Sorry, I got my players messed up. Reynor, he stopped droning. I'm just going to look at the little graph here of workers active. He stopped droning at the exact same point here. About just before 6 minutes, and it was the exact same point that Spirit stopped droning or stopped SCVing. So absolutely nailed it on when to stop, and then his army value just escalated. So it makes me think that absolutely is not Reynor's first rodeo. He did get eliminated by that build back in GSL, and that was a that was a brutal one for Reynor. You know, you don't just go to Korea just to take part. You go to dominate if you're a Reynor, and the fact that that was a thing that I would say haunted him to some degree. He did a damn good showing just now of how to actually clear that up and do it in style.
Oh, he really did do it in style as well. Just fantastic job. And now a chance to take the win here and obviously move on through to those semi-finals, as we're a good portion of the way through this European bracket. And semi-finals means you get to play tomorrow. We also still have Skillets Max Packs coming up as well today because, well, we've got lots of games and this one's been an absolute banger. So plenty to go. Reynor just joined our lobby. Babylon's the map, still a decent one for Terran, but we'll see what Spirit chooses to try and do, see what kind of aggression he maybe brings. He has had a very well-varied series, right? He's brought aggression, he's brought a bit more of a turtley play style, right? It's not just been one thing on repeat. He's really trying a few different things, and he's finding success in many different ways as well. So, yeah, it's been a cool series from Spirit. I think, to me, that's very impressive that he's been so good at kind of just mixing it up and having, like I say, just seeing success in the mix-up, not just like, oh, I mixed it up and I tried different things that didn't work, but like being good at all these styles. Man, he's playing great with some of the kind of Baneling targets and everything. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah, the fact that he went toe-to-toe in that real long macro game between them and ended up winning it, he's showcasing that he's not super outclassed by Reynor, which there is a handful of people on the planet that can say that about themselves, so kudos to him, and we're getting to a final map between these two, which is amazing, absolutely amazing.
No, absolutely. Our players getting told off for changing their logo name. It's fun. So there you gonna go. Reynor's ready. We're waiting for Spirit to ready up, and hopefully in just a moment we can indeed get ourselves into this game number 5. Get us ready to kick off, and yeah, Babylon. Really could be a good one. Spirit just readied. Reynor's already set, so we should be moments away from a 5th and final game of this best of 5. Win it, not just semi-finals, but also the seed into Jonkoping, which is the offline finals for this season. That is a big deal. Paid travel, you start a round early, you know, deeper into the tournament. It's always been a big talking point. It's always been a big advantage. Spirit's looking to nab one of those seeds for the very first time. So, can he do it, or will Reynor book himself yet another trip on ESL's dime? Find out here on Babylon.
Comes down to one map, and whatever Spirit's been cooking in the kitchen, now is the time to really show it. And you said it, Babylon, not a bad map for Terran. We've seen quite a few of those funky builds as well, where you go for like the 2 racks at the top of the ramp. You can open up with some Reapers and what have you. But it's also quite a small map. And speaking of, talking about Terran, spawning over in the bottom right here to finish things all off, it is Spirit.
And in the top left, an important win for him in that last game. Get over that hurdle of that big, long game loss. And just obviously keep yourself alive in the series, but that has to help him mentally. A blue Zerg player from Basilisk, Reynor.
It was a real good way to clap back, wasn't it, for Reynor?
Yes.
To hold that off and stop all those shenanigans. And oh, I mean, he absolutely needed it. It's not often you see Reynor down 2-1 or in that kind of situation against anybody else in Europe besides like a Clem or a Cyril or maybe a Maxpax these days. But Spirit, yeah, he's really showcasing that he's a scary Terran and he can kind of do it all. That push, I do feel like when I've seen the bunnies of the world do it, they come a little bit faster and a little bit cleaner. But when you're 2-1 up and when so much is on the line, maybe nerves can get the better of you a little bit.
Yeah, it's very true. The nerves is definitely a factor. I always remember Spirit from Katowice this year, where he was going up against Gumiho for basically a play-in match into the playoffs, and he's like, "Man, this is like the biggest match of my life, biggest best of 3 in my life. Because if I win, it's like a thousands of dollars difference." He's like, and he was like clearly quite like nervous about that, and that was like the day before it happened as well. I was like, man, definitely taking this serious, and I think this is very similar kind of stakes, prize money, trip to Sweden paid for, and obviously as well that seed ahead helps you earn more prize money as well. Just a lot on the line right here and right now. And honestly, with the way he's playing, I honestly could see Spirit kind of have a very good time in the semi-finals too. I mean, his run does not end the round after this. Like, he has the potential to go all the way with the way he's playing at the moment.
Well, that's just the thing. Like, if you're in Spirit's shoes and you're thinking, oh man, it's so hard now, it only gets harder after this, you could potentially say it doesn't if you take down Reynor. Like, who's harder than Reynor? There's people kind of equal to Reynor, but harder than. It's a pretty difficult thing. So if he can win this, you can pretty much say, hey, I can beat anybody, man. And that's where it really starts. You can really start believing in yourself. But this game so far, we have very normal openings. I love this by Spirit, by the way. Really utilizing that SCV to do the block in here. We talked about this earlier in the series on certain maps. I think it was on Neo Humanity. And look at this. Yeah. He might be able to do it. He's doing it, Wardy.
Killed the drone. Uh-oh. Reynor ain't gonna like that. Has to send a new drone out. Obviously still hasn't been able to get the hatchery down. The drone will be seen moving over. The SCV leaves because that didn't go down either. And I mean, good delay on the hatchery. A drone kill you're not meant to have. Reaper just survives as well as that queen got a shot off.
Yeah, so that's a super delayed hatchery. Oh my goodness, that Reaper. How much health is it? It's 1A.
Wow.
That was unbelievable.
I looked away for a moment.
In this kind of game, in this kind of game, literally, this comes down to one map. So many things went right for him early on. Delayed that third, killed the drone, really delayed the third. And then if you lose that Reaper, that's all your cushioning for these Hellions, That's also your kind of safety net of seeing what's going on. The reason why that Reaper's so damn valuable, it regenerates, so you can do that poke in action. You can actually fight the queens a little bit as well. It just provides so much safety for you and the ability to threaten. And this game, Spirit is opting for a third CC very, very quickly. So it's going to be a macro game. Also, how many Banshees does he... Has he got a Banshee out already? No. Okay. So it's not mistimed or anything. It's going to be a Banshee opening. I like this. I think this is a great map for it as well.
Well, the thing is as well, you like the map if you can get into the mid-game, and the Banshees can obviously do that very nicely. They kind of guarantee you mid-game. And of course, the Banshees are so good at harassing around. You can find a drone here, you can find a drone there, and just slowly chip your way through those workers. It doesn't come down to Reynor just being like, oh, I built spores, I'm fine. That's the beauty of the Banshees. They can find damage anyways if you're good with them. And Spirit was very good with them earlier, so I'm absolutely down for this. I think it's going to be a good way to accelerate into the mid-game from a good position. And for me, that's what Babylon is all about for the Terrans. Full scout from Reynor. He knows everything that's going on. But that's kind of fine for Spirit. Like, none of this necessarily needs to be hidden away.
No, this is kind of the go-to build when you want to just go toe-to-toe with your opponent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's the one where you really get to see how good their defense is, how good their Banshee defense is. 6 Hellions only. I mean, he's kept 2 at home, just 4 on the map. We do have a lot of Spore Crawlers out in the field as well. So, I mean, Reynor, they're both prepared for what the other one's doing. Reynor, or rather, Spirit is not fully aware of, like, if there's roaches or anything, but you can absolutely expect that there isn't with how this game's gone so far. And even if there was, Banshees are not bad against that either. It's the good all-round build for Terran players. It really is.
Yep, no, it's very true. There's extra barracks all come online, the engineering bay finishing up.
Ooh,
so
I like going straight across the middle, because he can actually get these Queens, Wardy. He can.
Yeah, he's going to use the Hellions to speed up the process. First transfusion down, but that's the only transfuse we have, pretty much. The Queen on the bottom side just got the energy, didn't drop it. 3 Queen kills. Great start, and the Banshees take no damage at all, so still healthy to go poking around for drones a bit further down the line here. Wonderful start, and actually going to find another Queen on this bottom side. Okay, there's other ones tagging up with it, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. We do cut back across, though, and maybe now a mineral line. Another Queen takes a few shots. Just going to get 1, not quite 2 drones. I like it, though. I mean, cutting down the Queen count slows down a lot for Reynor. Inject slows down some of this creep spread being replaced as the Hellions now punish that. So, yeah, a lot to be missing out on here.
Yeah, 3 Queens as well. You can't forget, like, that's good 450 minerals right there and then, and it kind of messes up all your control groups as well, because you have your control group for your injecting Queens, your defensive Queens, and yeah, it's definitely thrown a spanner in the works a little bit. But Reynor, he's re-secured himself, getting all his upgrades online. Drone count still very good for him, 78 versus 62, so he's got up to a very sick number regardless of what's happened. And income-wise, it's definitely showing that he is ahead, and he's not too far behind in any regard. Like the upgrades, sometimes you can find that the 1-1 doesn't start until a very long time, but he's done a good job of just making sure that everything's going fine for him.
Yep, did a fantastic job of it here as our Hellions do push the Ling back. More Hellion, Marine, tank, working its way up the right-hand side, getting up towards the northern side here as well, and just seeing the rest of our units of Spirit continuing to go. I mean, supply is in his favor, just slightly. I only note that because obviously typically a Zerg has a bit of a supply lead, and this is a moment where Spirit really power spikes. 1-1 upgrades, finishing, combat shields done. You know, Reynor only has his 1-1 halfway through. He's just built an infestation pit. That's not going to help him here either. This is a moment where Spirit can do very well. Reynor is immediately setting up to flank in from 2 directions. Let's see if that will be enough, as this army is medevacless.
Stranded.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's stranded. Like, the Reynor's just slowing this down massively. Killed the medevac, so no high ground vision, which is a pretty big thing. The armory was done a little bit late for what he wanted to get done, which was that whole hugging of the tanks here. The Banshees are still coming back, but I don't think they're going to get much done. They definitely aren't. Reynor, he's doing very good at just making this as slow as possible. And even though Spirit has got himself into a nice position, or thought he was getting in, Reynor's done everything in his tool belt just to make sure that, no, this isn't going to hit how you wanted it to hit, mate.
Actually gets these Marines up to the rest of these units, but we're still just kind of sat in this weird spot where there's just not quite that full power spike I was expecting here. Now 1-1 is done from Reynor. Much more likely for him to be able to take a decent fight. We do have 3 siege tanks in total, and Reynor's kind of running in with these bottom units a lot further than I ever thought he would. He didn't get anything there. He did get the tank, one of them on the top side, so he wins that, but lost a lot on the bottom.
Oh, there's a drop on the far left side as well. Spirit, he did this in Neo-Humanity as well to start things off, I think it was, where it's like, okay, the push is happening, immediately another double drop, and he's going to take out the 5th base of Reynor for absolutely free over here. So even though he didn't get achieve what he wanted to in the top right, you know, he may have lost the battle, but he's winning the war, I feel, with what he set out to do. But his 4th base, uncharacteristically late for him. He definitely put a lot into this, far more than he has done in previous games.
Yeah, no, he was very desperate to deal damage at some point of this. Reynor trying to chase this drop in the bottom left. The Lings surrounding Spirit, actually not getting there in time to pick up, and he was pretty quick about protecting it earlier. 2 more medevacs are going to load up to reinforce across, and I like that because Reynor would have caught them if they just walked over. So that is actually a Reynor spot now. He's going to drop single units on, especially the tank could have absorbed a bunch of banelings there. I mean, we're playing with such a dicey situation, right? We are like a move away from this all going wrong, but we're also moments away from a 2-2 upgrade lead for Spirit, and that could be an advantage. He really works into his favor in the next little while as well. Another high ground siege tank setting up, and here we go. It looks like Reynor is going to pull the trigger. We're moments away from 2-2, so Spirit's not going to have that advantage. I talked about dropping some Marines toward these banelings before they can kind of really get clumped up or anything. We do get the last few Banes here. Is this enough? Oh my god, he is at least going to force Reynor back and not let him continue the fight.
I mean, this is do or die for Spirit. I mean, like, the worker count for Reynor's not actually that good, which is kind of crazy. He's holding on with the bare minimum. The bare minimum. Liberators coming into the mix too. That queen count's been absolutely thinned as well from earlier. And these Liberators, look at them. They're going to town, Wardy. They're going to absolute town. He's still stood in the zones. Oh, I think he's doing it, man. I think he's doing it. How many queens? He's down to 5 queens. He's making 5 at a time here. That supply is grossly inflated, and he's losing his 4th.
Yep, his 4th is going to go down. He does have the left side base, which is not currently mining, so that's an issue. Drones will have to transfer over there. Spirit, the one thing I was worried about was he didn't have any splash damage. The tank wasn't sieging without the splash. I was like, can you get rid of the Banes? But he dealt with it perfectly, just pulled back, finally got the tank sieged and got enough of the Banes to stand and fight this. His 4th base is up, morphed into a planetary counterattack from Reynor. Do we have enough at home? Absolutely, we have enough to stim in and go after these Lings, which are going to stop for the depot. That gives you a few extra seconds here from Spirit to minimize this damage, and the Lings run past the Marines on the way out as well. Another big loss for Reynor in a game he may not be able to afford it anymore.
This is actually huge. Spirit is all over Reynor. Reynor's one advantage that he has is that he's got Vipers out, which is a big tech unit, but it's almost like, what do you use them against at this point? Like, you're 20 supply behind. You're actually behind in workers against a Terran after losing this amount of bases. Resources lost tab as well. This is kind of how it's meant to be in CVT, but it's meant to be like this when you're ahead economically, and I don't think he is.
Nope, as this Liberator is going to regret this position. 2 spores, 4 queens. That was the most decisive Liberator cleanup ever, unfortunately. Reynor needs a bit more than that. At least he might get to max out, and if he's maxed out, he can obviously set up for fights, but his army is Ling, Bane, and a couple of Vipers.
Yeah, there's a little drop in the main, did get cleaned up there. Spirit is definitely handling this game nicely, but the thing is, this isn't his end game, is it? Like, he's gearing up for what he wants to get to. Like, he slowed down Reynor so much and got himself to a position where he's like, this is actually the game that I wanted to play. And granted, his 4th base was a lot later than it normally is for him. But the fact that this is a very, very splittable map, like, you can see the slice here down the middle that you can get set up where it's like, yeah, this is going to make me very, very safe for a split map scenario. And it's much easier to do this on a map like this than what he did earlier in Neo-Humanity, I feel, in some weird way. But right now, I love the way that Spirit's handling this game, man. Oh, no cancel.
Yeah, I mean, obviously just the Marines already there. You weren't expecting that to happen so soon. Spirit needs to pay attention. I thought he was about to target fire this Baneling twice over, because he's usually very good at that, but he just lifts up, he backs away, keeping the base so Reynor slowed down. Reynor 5 base versus essentially 5 base right now is not ideal, and this is the point where we get all these extra CCs that were morphing a planetary in front of the orbital on the south side, all these things that can help you to survive. A tank getting set up defensively, well, actually it's derping around because of the positioning, but I think it should get set up in time in the end, maybe, possibly. Having a wild time. Anyways, yeah, I mean, look how aggressively 440 is with turrets and libs and just setting up more and more CCs. And the thing is, Reynor, you're right. He only built Vipers. The rest of this game is just pure Ling Bane. The only thing I want to see Spirit do is not go too heavy on the Ghosts just yet, because he really doesn't need a lot of Ghosts against what is currently just very low-tech units of Reynor. The more Ghosts he has, the more susceptible his army might be to being swarmed.
Yeah. And you know what? I love this as a StarCraft lover, because I think they're both handling the situation very nicely. But I gotta say, I love the way that Spirit's playing this, not only from a StarCraft lover's perspective, but also the fact that I know how hard Reynor was molding at the first situation. Hold the phone, Wardy. There's a lot of Zerg coming in through the middle here, but I don't think any of this is efficient. I don't think any of this is what... Like, that's just so much lost for Reynor, and I think he's starting to remember, and I mean, it wasn't that long ago, of what happened in that previous game on Neo-Humanity against Spirit.
Yep, that's the benefit that Spirit got from winning the early game. He got to just jumpstart into the late game, and yes, initially 4th base later, but he wasted no time. Like, the last 5 minutes of development from Spirit has been plus, like, 8 command centers or something. Like, he is not slowing down on that front in the slightest right here. So, yeah, very, taking this very seriously, putting himself in a very good spot. And it does feel as though Spirit right now is in the driver's seat. We see Reynor, he is finally teching up a bit further. Hydra Den, missile upgrade. He's realizing he can't just play Ling Bane Viper forever. But by the time we actually get, if this is going to move into Lurkers, by the time we get there, there's going to be Lib range, there's going to be probably some Libs, and that kind of stuff is going to be very good against the first waves of Lurkers. Like, Spirit's going to be extremely well prepared. Of course, it is Reynor. Reynor is good at the late game. Don't just think this should be Spirit able to clean up.
Get the hive?
That would be big.
Is he going to get it?
He is, yeah. No transfuse.
Oh my. That's actually a really big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the hatchery, 300, then you got the lair on top of it, but most importantly, I guess the time. Like, the time to try and get everything else going. Like, even if he wanted to make a Spire right now, he couldn't. He can't start any of his extra upgrades. I mean, he's already on 3-3, so I guess no more Vipers, though, at least. And the cost, that's a big deal.
And if he was going to go Lurkers, Lurker upgrades are now an eternity away as well. So that's also a factor. Currently can't build the Lurker Den because the lair's dead. And once again, just going to have ourselves this position he's pushing into. So much SimCity. It's already, you see, being very expensive for Reynor, as the Marines are just going to stand here. Enough Terran that you could just stand and fight. And wow, I mean, he lived up a few Marines at the end because he was a bit unsure, but he's also just killed a base on the top side. Spirit is consistently outspeeding Reynor. Like, as Reynor makes one move, Spirit's already making a counter move.
Yeah, and the thing is, these moves, like, I think Reynor's doing all right for himself because Spirit's bank is not high yet. It's not the same situation as Neo Humanity where you move in and, your opponents just refund or re-establishing themselves. But it's getting to the point where Reynor can't afford to do that. Like, it's getting to that point. He has to be so careful. But that fight was obviously not the engagement he was looking for. There was tank line after tank line. Even here, look, this is not good for him, and he realizes it a bit too late here.
Yep, absolutely is just taking so much damage every time. This bottom side is definitely the weaker point right now for Spirit. This is where Reynor has been working through, and he's definitely getting some advantage from it. And it's been expensive, but now it's a bit more exposed. He's having a bit of a better time, so that's a benefit. There's a Banshee working through this hatch. We need to just get rid of this Ling over here. We can land another base, and it's actually kind of ridiculous. We're about to have every base on the map taken. Of course, Reynor kind of has the double base on the bottom, so that is something Spirit wants to try and stop from developing further. But yeah, to kind of be just here so quickly, again, just sort of says just what Spirit was able to do after that earlier game. Nukes coming online, resources lost about 9k in Spirit's favor. Just to compare to Neo Humanity, it was like a 3k difference up until about 30,000 resources lost or thereabouts. So this has just been way better for Spirit economically, and he is just continuing to take positions right now, and he's been very good and very active at just keeping Reynor slowed down, a hatchery killed, and once again not cancelled.
I'm looking at that income tab, man. That is the power of mules there. 5k resources per minute, or in fact 6k including the gas. But here, might be able to snag that PF before it comes online. Nice grab from Reynor there, getting some damage of his own. Granted, it's mainly just minerals and floating command center at the bottom. Just Spirit things going on in this game. But right now, Reynor's kind of got himself into a situation where he's got an army, but it's not exactly the most tech finesse army again. And these trades, I don't think they're the best trades. Granted, I don't mind these trades of just pure Lings going on, because as long as he's killing gas units, but it's not the kind of game he wants to play. Reynor wants to consume the map, outspeed his opponent, have his opponent just kind of not be able to weather the storm, but Spirit is withstanding. He's holding on. He is not going to get bullied around like that. And Reynor, he's trying to find a way in. Just so far, he hasn't been able to find it, but maybe this might be it here, Wardy.
This might be it. There's a lot of extra tanks sieging up. We do not get blinding clouds on this bigger line of tanks in the background. Marines are able to stand their ground against the Banes. Spirit loses a lot of supply, but so does Reynor. Obviously, Reynor's just very quick to start rebuilding, and Reynor's supply blocked on the tail end of this, by the way, too. So instantly rebuilding is not going to be super easy. We've got a Ghost on the other side that's just busy in the main, going to distract Reynor a little bit, and Spirit kind of felt like maybe he could have had a bounce back and forwards there. I mean, the Overlord just having a rebuild from Reynor is expensive enough. You can see just how long it takes, and finally we'll be able to max out again.
You know, there's a bit of a missed opportunity here for... oh, I think he's going to do it. I think Spirit's going to do it. So he's got... I saw a Liberator in the south there. Because that base, taking that base as Reynor, that is Yeah, okay. This Liberator, I mean, it is going to get met by quite a few queens, so nicely played by... they're both on it, man. They're both absolutely on the ball here.
That's going to re-siege. And this can just be a dance that lasts a while as well, right? So you just unsiege the Liberator now and push you a bit further forward.
Until you get like 3 libs over there, and then it's done. But look at Reynor. I mean, this is suicide. This is absolute suicide. He has to get damage done in this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a horrible fight. This time he doesn't have the initial surge that he kind of had before. He does get the planetary on the top. It's so expensive, though. Look at this supply dip down to 150, and that's even with a lot rebuilding. And he's losing a few extra Banes on the tail end as Spirit chases down. I mean, yes, Spirit lost a few SCVs, instantly replaces the command center, though. And I think most importantly, not letting Reynor mine this top left base, because eventually that's the base that Spirit wants to make sure Reynor doesn't mine ahead of him. So if he can keep that down, that's a big deal. 11,000 resources lost will be undone if Reynor can mine one more base than Spirit can.
All right, Reynor's feeling a tech switch coming on here. He did lose a couple of these Vipers, or in fact, did he? No, he's still got 2 alive, making 2 more. Is shutting down that base, and yet again. And Spirit is going to come and greet him, but Spirit's still on 200 supply. Like, he has been remaking his SCVs really nicely. He's on 9 orbital commands. But Reynor hasn't broke him yet. He hasn't broke him yet. That's the big thing. And I think there was a little war going down on the 6 o'clock with the Liberators again, which was kind of funny. Spirit has to spread his army so damn far and thinly, which is so hard to do, but he's doing such a good job because he has no real supervision of seeing where Reynor goes. I know he has scans and such available, but it's a very hard thing to make sure that you're bulletproof here, there, and everywhere.
I think a big part of it is the 6 o'clock position is just so choked up.
Ooh.
It's such a hard fight for Reynor to take. He is going to move in this direction this time around, but you're going to see a lot of the bio doing well. There's tanks on that high ground as well you fall back to. I mean, this was, again, just super expensive for Reynor. The value he finds in that was just really not that much, right? Like, this feels like he's just thrown away units without gaining a lot at all. Spirit's actually using this also as an opportunity to attack on the top side, so he's going to find the base over here, perhaps. There's a Liberator sieging up. There's a few Lings moving forward. Hatchery will indeed go down, so we finish that off. We instantly lift up, maybe even drop in the main to cause a little bit more annoyance. There's just this Liberator sat here being annoying too. Reynor going to deal with that. He will get rid of it. The drop does go all the way around to the back of the main, and with a few Marauders, maybe a tech snipe or so, he's now pushing on the bottom side. Spirit is so fast in these games today. Like, he is just all over the place. He might find the Lurker Den, man!
You know what? That's actually such a big deal. These Lurkers not having the range upgrade available is big. And I mean, getting the Hydralisk Den, then getting the Lurker... Yeah, this game's starting to get crazy. There is a Nidus going up in the main, and, you know, perfect time to put it down. Grabbing the tanks as well. What does he have? He has 8 Lurkers available here. This could actually go out of control for Spirit in the blink of an eye.
Yep, no, this is really bad, especially because he's taking such a messy fight at the front. Oh my goodness, there's just stuff going everywhere. Here are the Lurkers in the main base. They're not immediately threatening the position that they're in, and the Ghosts are going to be able to get up here before they're that scary, honestly. I have no idea where the nuke was, by the way, but the Ghost is moving around.
It was on the far west side,
Far west, okay.
So that base is very close to dying. 6 drones falling. Oh, the Lurkers, they're all going down. All right. Spirit does stay alive here. They're both still pretty damn close in supply. And that was the ace up Reynor's sleeve here. This is what he really wanted to try and get a real hold in the game. And he did it at a real good time when chaos was ensuing, when he was doing something else on the map. But holy crap. This is absolute chaos.
Yep, Spirit realizing this time where the Overlord was, that got this Nidus down. He's going to deny the second Nidus, but it is going to give Reynor the opening to the top. This is a position which he was not really able to break efficiently earlier. Maybe that's now open to him because of Spirit's attention having to be paid to the bottom. He's already lifting to replace the CC up here, and he actually loved this. He's stimming to the left to catch these units in their escape path, so he's really trying to stop them from getting away. Liberators will start to be abducted. There are Hydras to help. The Marines are going to have to kite back. The tanks now coming into play. This has turned into an awful fight for Reynor. He doesn't even get a siege tank, and Spirit takes huge victories. Reynor needs to spend some money, but he's got no lava.
You know, Spirit is playing phenomenal here, mate. Oh, that was juicy. Juicy Lucy. I mean, Spirit has to start remaking some of these SCVs at some point. He's still on a healthy orbital count in 8, but Reynor is winning the economic game right now. He is consuming the map, but those resources lost, they do not lie. And Reynor has absolutely opened up this south part of the map to big attacks, but look at that army, Wardy.
The 6 Banelings.
That is a Terran army.
There's only 6 Banelings in the game right now. I mean, we do not have another Lurker Den, so there's only 4 Lurkers as well. We are missing splash damage, and this Terran force, like you just said, it is It's hefty, and we're going to link counterattack up over here. Maybe he's going to find a tank. There's some libs and tanks set up. The planetary too. Reynor's starting to lose drones, though, and I mean, he's not got the huge bank, so losing drones is difficult to replace for him. He is losing so much over here. Queen's going down. He finally responds to it in the top side. The planetary's lived as well. The Ling's all going down. Reynor is getting dismantled across the board at the moment. Oh.
We are on the verge of one of the crazier upsets we've had in this region, man. Like,
yes.
Those top boys, Cell, Reynor, Clem, they have been absolutely impossible to dethrone. If one guy was to do it, I thought it was going to be Max Pax. But the fact that this could be Spirit here, and in a slog of a series like this, he's not just doing it flukily either. I think he's been straight up outplaying Reynor in this series.
He's been faster. In this game especially, I feel like he's always been the player to have the counter. Whereas Reynor's been like, I'll dive here, but then Spirit's like, yeah, but what about my drop over here? And then Reynor loses important tech structures. 37 drones in this bottom corner, by the way. That is, what, like 70% of Reynor's economy on one base right now that's about to be sieged with no escape really available? That's a problem. Reynor is in some trouble. Nidus in the middle of the map getting taken down. Planetary is holding on over here as well. The tank getting shots off. Snipes on the Overseer too. Those lurkers will not do enough. Oh my goodness. The drones did get away from the bottom corner at least.
I mean, Spirit's everywhere, man. Spirit's absolutely everywhere. He's defending, he's retaking, reclaiming. He's split the map totally in half. And his army composition is so much better. He has crafted an army made to deal with Reynor what he has now. And Reynor, he's just been unable to switch or get out of it. And it's really been like his weakness of being able to adapt and play. I say that, but he's going to get in here. And I mean, this is a good grab. He's abducting quite a lot of these tanks. The blinding clouds are good, but he's running. This tank line is so damn deep, Wardy. He has to climb through the fire, and he's not able to clean up. Look at this split. This is split for days from Spirit. He does hold to some degree, but he gets away with such a huge chunk of these ghosts that I don't think he's even bothered.
You know, the ghosts could have joined the fight if they wanted to, but Spirit said he'd rather just keep them back. If they joined the fight, they could have had so many snipes off. They could have been really influential. Now they're going to come forward and look for something. Reynor realizing the ghost, so he is going to back it up. I think that was a missed opportunity from Spirit. I think he could have done more if those ghosts had joined in. I just don't think he thought it was going to go well enough for him. Of course, Reynor has had barely any income. The income graph is horrible for him, and he's just not been mining, so his rebuild is limited, and that's the problem. Spirit can keep on reproducing, and just reproducing Biotank is not something that Reynor can deal with right now.
No, it isn't. And Spirit, he's still healthy, man. Look at that. How many mules do we have active right now? 8 mules active. That is absolutely fierce at this point in time. The supplies, I mean, taking down a PF, that costs you. That costs you quite a bit. Look what Spirit's marching forward with. Oh my god, so many lines from these snipers, and oh my god, I think this is it, Wardy. I think this is it.
It very well might be. Spirit backs up a second, gets another scan down. Now you can break through these lurkers properly. There's only one left over in the background. GG says Reynor, and Spirit with his best result.